Hey, welcome back here to the Gill Connections Podcast. Man, again, so excited that you would press play. It still boggles me the thousands of you guys and gals out there listening weekly, monthly, every year. It's our seventh year. And you know what? I am humble enough to know that you are not here to learn about me. You're here to learn about these amazing men and women who choose to be track and field coaches. And I've got a great one today. This is going to be a lot of fun. This is one of those, I've told you this before. There's kind of almost two categories of guests. There's really kind of three, but some guests around here I've known forever, whether I coached with them or against them back in the day, or we've done a lot of business together in the couple of decades I've been here, or they're guys or gals that I've actually never met, or we've had limited interaction over social. And so I'm kind of starting from a blank slate. And those excite me too, because I love learning about new people and how they got into this journey and the major ways that they contribute to our sport. And that's what today is. So help me welcome from Warsaw Community High Schools over in the great state of Indiana. He's the boys' assistant coach there, the wise, the wonderful Mr. James Randall. James, welcome to the show.
Hi, Mike. How are you today?
Man, brother. It's Friday when we're recording this.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
you actually are seeing me in a state that no one sees me in. First of all, and you can only see upper body here, but I'm in a t-shirt. I never wear t-shirt. I'm a polo guy at work. I'm always wearing a polo. So you were seeing me super cash. And if you could see under, no pants. Well, that's a terrible way to say that, Mike. Shorts. I'm wearing shorts today, which again, I never do. It's going to be 80 degrees today. It's beautiful. It's track and field season. So I went a little cash today, man. So I'm doing awesome. Thanks for asking.
Awesome. Awesome. We're finally getting into real track and field weather here too. We actually back in March, which is crazy for Indiana, we were able to get in 3 outdoor meets before we hit our spring break. It's kind of our
Yeah.
end cutoff for
hmm
indoor.
hmm
But we always every year we get this crazy 75-degree day. Like, man, we should have had a meet. So this year we scheduled three, thinking, if we get one,
Right.
and we hit all three of them. We're like, holy cow! So, and all during our indoor season. So we were kind of split squad and running some guys that were exclusively indoor, and then a couple guys did maybe not their main event and the
Right.
outdoor stuff, but did some side quests. And so, yeah.
Side quest. It's a good way of putting it. I love that. Where is so I actually for fifth grade went to so I'm from the South, but for one
Yep.
year, fifth grade, I came up north and lived in a little town right on the border of Indiana, Ohio called Woodburn, Indiana. The closest town would have been Fort Wayne. I want to say Fort
Yep.
Wayne was 30, 40. Where are you in relation to that? Where's Warsaw at?
Okay, so if you are in Fort Wayne
hmm
and you go on US 30 and
Okay.
head west,
Okay.
we are about 40 minutes west of Fort Wayne.
Okay.
So we're in this little triangle that's almost like basically like an hour west of Fort Wayne or an hour south of South Bend.
Oh, okay, okay.
So
Yeah,
that's
that
kind of
helps. That
our
helps triangulate it.
general,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So I was over all the way on the east of Fort Wayne. You are all the way over on the west of Fort Wayne. For my head,
Yeah.
where I'm just trying to figure. Okay, cool, cool, cool.
Yeah, because
Love that.
Woodburn, you're another half hour east. Like when you hit Fort Wayne, you've got about another half hour or so before you hit the state line. So yeah, I
Yeah,
know where you're at.
yeah. I think I remember when I say it's on the border. I remember, and this is fifth grade, so it was a long time ago. But I seem to remember like, oh, I saw the Ohio state line all the time. Like that was
Yeah.
literally, it was right there. That's what my memory serves anyway. But again, that was a long time ago, brother. Well, James, let's get to learn more about you. You were nominated by good friend Sean Fowkes, who was episode 366. So if you're interested in hearing his story, go back and listen to his story. He says you are a good guy. He told me, he's like, Mike, you got to have this James Randall guy on the podcast. And I was like, you know what? I'll be the judge of that. So I bet it's going to be pretty good. Yeah, yeah. Very, very few people sneak on. Actually, zero have snuck on that were bad people. Because if you're a track coach, it's hard to be a bad person. Like there's a lot of other places to be easier to be bad. You're
Yeah.
a servant leader when you're in this position. So I'm excited to learn more about you today, my friend.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
So let's hop into our Wayback Machine, my friend. Assuming you are an athlete, and we certainly know that we know what assuming does to us, but we also know we've had plenty of coaches who were not athletes, who went on to have great coaching careers. Where in the world does track and field start for you?
So track and field, the furthest back starts for me as a fourth grader
Hmm.
at Silver Lake Elementary School, which is a feeder school. No, doesn't exist anymore.
Hmm.
In a little town I grew up in, which is about 10 minutes south of Warsaw.
Okay.
Started for me, fourth grade in our elementary schools around us, and this still holds true today. So way back. I'm almost 50. I'll be 49 this year, so
All
you're
right.
talking way, way back.
Yeah.
But fourth grade is the first year in our elementary school system that kids can be involved in school sports.
Okay.
So that year, I played soccer, tried to play basketball, and went out for track, and I was a shot putter
Hmm.
way, way back whenever I was way little.
Mhm.
So did track in elementary school. Got out when I was in middle school. Got back in whenever I was in high school. Football was my main sport.
Mhm.
Uh, Played offensive and defensive lines, and
Yeah.
our head football coach my freshman year was our head track coach,
Mhm.
and his thing was always with football guys, like, hey, in the spring, if you're not a baseball guy, if you don't have a job that prevents you,
Right.
you're running track.
Yeah, good for him.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so then I got into back into throwing again in high school. Specialized more in disc. If you see me, so I'm 6'5".
Wow, is that right?
Um, and senior year, I was listed and for football, I was listed at 6'4", 235. My length lent itself to throwing the disc. I
Right.
was not a great shot putter. I got to 43 high,
Hmm.
44 low as a shot putter.
Yeah.
But I was a 160 disc guy. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Excuse me. I'm always amazed when people tell me their height because when we if unless I if I know them, it's differently. But I have no clue with you sitting here. So when you're like you're 6'4", 6'5", I'm like, holy, you a big boy, man, holy cow.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And I've had the opposite where someone's like, I'm on the short side, I'm 5'6". I'm like, oh God, I had no clue, bro. Everybody's the same height as me as far as I know
Yeah.
until they
When we're
tell me.
looking here, it's like,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah, yeah. So, love the attitude of your freshman year football coach of,
yeah.
yeah, and I really, it's something interesting you said there that we don't hear very often. I hear if you're not a baseball guy, hey, you need to be track. Love that. Hey, if you don't have a job that's important too. And I think we sometimes
Absolutely. Absolutely it
forget
is.
about that. And I know there's coaches and parents and other people that sometimes will say, hey, you got the rest of your life to work, be at the school, you like do your sports and activities and things like that. And my parents, thank God, were that way as well. It's like, hey man, as long as you're doing some extracurricular activity, you don't have to work. So I appreciate that. But I know some people need to work
Yes.
as high
Yeah.
schoolers or want to, and that's okay too. So I kind of like that little. I haven't heard many people say that, so I like that little caveat from him. Tell me, as you're going through high school and you're football and track are kind of your two main. Yep. Okay. Love that. Well, first of all, what I ask all of our football/track people, were you a football player at this point? Were you a football player who did track or were you a track guy who did football?
No, I definitely was a football guy who did track.
Yep. Got it. Okay.
Had the intention of going on playing after high school. That didn't end up shaking out.
Sure.
Around the area here. So I was a all conference audible mention on the offensive line.
Yeah.
Had small schools around us.
Hmm.
So, if when you talk about D3 schools, so Wabash College,
Hmm.
Manchester University,
Hmm.
Manchester ended up being the place that I'd kind of settled on. I was going to go play.
Hmm.
My head coach in high school, a guy named Ted Huber, who just recently passed. We'll get into, I'm sure you'll get into a little bit, but
Yep.
I got into coaching anything because of that guy.
Okay.
Um, but he had kind of encouraged me, like, hey, if you want to go play at the next level, you definitely have got it.
Yeah.
But didn't end up shaking out,
Yeah.
so that was fine.
That's amazing to me. So we have a lot of similarities, James. I turned 50 this year. You turned 49 this year. So you graduated high school in 95?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yep, it's
sir.
called 94. That makes math is working out. That's good. I also was offensive lineman. Didn't do much defensive line, but I was offensive. I started in offensive line. Loved it. It's the best position in the entire sport. Uh, but I'm 6 foot, and I bet you I wasn't 6 foot back then, and I bet you I was 180 pounds. So I was not, and you were 6'4", you say 230.
Yep.
I had a small inkling that I might play college. Hearing that you didn't, It's like, what in the hell was I thinking then? If I thought that I was gonna, dude, if a 6'4", 230 guy didn't do it, what in the world was I thinking? I
Oh,
remember, so I grew up in Alabama. My senior year, did you ever, we're the same age, so you might remember this. Do you remember the show on MTV, Two-A-Days? It was,
yes,
yeah. So
yes.
it was Hoover High School in Birmingham, Alabama, Hoover, Alabama. And that coach was Rush Probst. That was my senior year head coach down in where I'm from. I wasn't at Hoover. But if you watch the show, you know
Yep,
how very intense he was. Well, that's what was my senior year. And I remember in preseason, pre-practice, we went to Auburn University. It was just down the road
yep.
to watch a scrimmage, watch a practice, right? And so me and my best friend, who's like my brother, Brian, we're sitting there watching. And in high school, James, I'm sure this is across the country. Maybe one time a practice, someone gets lit up. Maybe it's twice, but it's
Pretty,
rare.
yeah,
But sometime, every once in a while, someone just getting you're like, whoa, every single play in the scrimmage, someone was getting lit up, and I was like, wait a minute, like that's a
it,
decleater every single play. Like what in the world? And we're kind of just talking to each other, and the ball boy is standing there, and he's 6'2". And so we started talking, and he goes, well, boys, he was a 20-year-old kid himself. He goes, well, boys, it's probably a bad sign that the ball boy for Auburn is taller and bigger than you. And I was like, that's a great point, dude. This guy dwarfs me. Not that I thought I could play for Auburn, but it's like, what am I even
yeah.
thinking of a next, like, oh my God, it was unbelievable, that next level.
Yeah, it's so I had a couple buddies from my class that ended up going on and playing small school football. Buddy of mine, it's now a firefighter, but he played free safety for us. He was a three-time all-conference free safety. Wasn't particularly big. Now, again, high school football around. I mean, high school football, obviously, anywhere. You've got, everybody thinks that everybody's huge and massive, and there's just regular kids that play, right? Like rosters are full of regular sized kids that are just really like it or are good athletes, but
Right, right.
what I mean, not great. But so he's a three-time all conference free safety. Goes to Anderson University, so
Yeah,
it's
the Ravens.
about what's Anderson? Probably about 2 hours south of us.
Yeah.
Goes down there and plays. And as a high school senior, I want to say my buddy Brandon was 5'9", a buck 40.
Yeah, yeah.
One of those guys, good athlete, played football, baseball, got out of baseball. I think it was our freshman year, broke his wrist, and ended up playing his whole high school career with a big dummy cast
Oh wow.
wrapped on his hand when he played because he like broke it and then re-broke it and it just wouldn't stay. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, this back whenever we were in high school, rub some mud on it and go get back in. The dumb stuff that we would never do today. We would never tell kids to do.
Right.
But so he played with this big dummy cast on, but he was never a guy that didn't really lift super hard. I
Mhm.
mean, none of us really did the stuff that we needed to. But gets down to Anderson and he's like, man, there's dudes down there now that are, he said, we're talking, this is small school football, D3 football. And he's like,
D3, yeah.
every dude that's like coming up from Florida to play runs a 4.5 40. And he said, they're guys that are my height, but outweigh me by 30 pounds. And he said, like, just thud tackle drills, like everything
Every
hurts. And so he's
time.
like, man, I made it a year and I didn't need any more after that.
Dude, we sometimes forget. I mean, I'll use the word freaks in the positive way. Like freaks are, there's a reason why they're the 1% of all these people. You're right. The average high school kid is average. It's
Yes.
just a kid who just
Yeah.
enjoys playing and fills a spot and fills a role. Me, I was that average. Like I filled a role, had a great time, but what in the like? I remember I'd already settled on going to an engineering school in Chicago. But that spring, one of my football coaches goes, hey, Cunningham, do you want to play? Like, we could find you a spot. He's talking D3 or something. And I was like, nah, I'm good, bro. It's like I had a good career. We're
Yeah,
good.
man.
Okay, James, let's get back to you. All right,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah. Yep, yep.
you're playing football. I'm a tangent guy, so you never know where this is probably the number one reason I don't do pre-interview questions because I don't know what I'm gonna ask.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
this is great though too
good.
because like you and I are about because I'm the same. Like I can be telling a story and we end up over here and then
Yeah,
over here and it's like,
yeah,
oh wait. I,
yeah,
I, I always say like long story long because I can't do
yeah.
long story short.
Yeah, yeah. Many times I'm like, all right, so where were we? It's like my job is to know where we are, and I'm the one forgetting here. So in high school, you're throwing and playing football. What kind of I'm gonna say athlete. I kind of want to steer towards track, but you're a football guy who runs
Yeah,
track, so
yeah, yeah.
that's okay. And what I mean, what kind of athlete were you? I care less. You already told us some of your PRs. I care. I've never asked someone their PRs. I really don't care about the PR. I'm more interested in because spoiler alert, you become a track coach. So I'm trying to find like coaching tendencies as a 16, 17-year-old James.
Yeah.
When were you the kind of kid, were you like you've heard of gym rats, were you like an office rat, and were you going in and asking coach not in a confrontational way, but like a curious way of like, hey, so how come we threw the shot today and we did these drills, and then the next day we did just weight room, coach, like trying to figure out why coach
Yeah.
tells you to do XYZ, or because I have a ton of grace for 16, 17-year-old kids, were you the kind of kid who's like, man, coach told me to throw, so I threw? That's what I knew.
Yeah, no, man, I've always been curious. I think going through life asking questions, man, for me is just like kind of my lifeblood. I like to dig in with people. I like to learn stuff. So like being a football player, for instance, I wanted to know what everybody did.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wasn't always, so you talk about, 15, 16-year-old kids. So like, I'll give you an example of times where I kind of failed at that. I want to say my sophomore year, I'd exclusively played defense through middle school and freshman year. Sophomore year, they moved me to the offensive line. And we always, like during our two-a-days, we would have like a a team meeting, a positional meeting. You'd go out for a practice, come back in, another positional meeting. So you do like your offense first,
Right.
defense second. So they move me to offensive line, and we would go into our meetings, and we had, like what coach would call out like third string tackle. Hey, what are your blocking rules on run blocking? So you
Right.
got three rules you got, or if you got pass pro, here's your three.
Right.
And I remember the first time I got moved in there, um, dudes in front of me answered the question,
Hmm.
right? And so I pull oh, I've never done it before. And coach is like,
And you never
um,
will with that attitude.
yeah. And he's like, hey, so and so ahead of you just answered that question. Why are you not paying attention? That sort of.
Mm.
So then I became very like, man, I want to know because I don't ever want to be humiliated.
Mhm.
Right. And so I kind of put myself out there, and then I heard about that for the rest of 2 days that year. Like,
Yeah.
hey man, why are you such an idiot?
Yeah, yeah. That's
But
how
I
nicknames get
was,
started.
yeah, very, very curious.
Yeah.
And so, early on, I also, I like to talk. And when you're a high school kid, sometimes that plays out well with your friends, and sometimes it doesn't. But kind of the adults around me figured out, hey, there's something here with this kid that maybe I didn't understand.
Hmm.
So I got a tangent on this one because you asked the question. So influences in my life, I really had three in high school that were men outside of my dad. We just lost my dad, and my dad was my hero.
Hmm.
I say it to like I would not be the male human I am today without my dad. Did so much to pour life into me as his son.
Yeah.
As um, I like to think I'm a good husband. My wife might disagree with you sometimes,
It's okay.
but I learned a lot about being a husband and sacrifice from my dad.
Yeah.
I learned how to be a good dad from my dad. But outside of him, I think it's so important for um, our boys to have male influence every place they can find it,
Hmm.
right? So I had three in high school. I had mentioned Coach Huber. Ted Huber was my head coach all the way through. My freshman football coach was a guy named Jim Dermody.
Hmm.
He was our head baseball coach. Was one of those guys back in the day. You've encountered him. So he was Irish Catholic from Valparaiso, Indiana, which is up by Chicago.
Hmm.
And that's a rough, like the generation. That's a rough crowd, man. He came from a big family. Um, but he was one of those guys that went to school and like went to college and played two sports back in the day. So he was
Wow.
a football, baseball guy.
Wow.
Um, but was just this man's man. And he was the very, very first person that I ever had that like called out leadership in me.
Mm-hmm.
So my freshman year, I'm a big history buff. So going into, like when you're coming out of middle school, you get to pick classes going into high school. And I picked an ancient and modern world history class.
Hmm.
And I was like, when I end up getting into the class, I'm the only freshman in a group of class in a group with juniors and seniors. And Jim, my freshman football coach, is the teacher. And that dude did not take it easy on me in any way, shape, or form, being the only freshman in that class.
Mhm.
But really called some stuff out. So like I had no fear of like getting up in front of the class and speaking. And you had some kids that, kids that don't want to do that, got nothing to do.
Mhm.
And like he would use me as an example, like, hey, I got this freshman kid that's up here. Like, coach, man, don't do that, man, because now I'm gonna get beat up at practice. Like,
Right.
come on, bro. But really called some stuff out in me that
Mhm.
I didn't see in myself yet.
Mhm.
He'd joke around, something like, "Oh, Randall, you're a politician, you know that, right?" I'm like, "I'm not sure what that
What
means."
does that mean, right?
Yeah. Um, but yeah, and then so like those two
Mhm.
kind of specifically, and then my throws coach, gentleman named Gary Fribley. His brother was our only yeah, still only ever shot put state champ from Warsaw
Oh,
Community High School.
wow.
Won the shot in '84.
Nice.
He was just just sub 60, so like Neil threw 59
Nice.
way back in the day. He had helped coach his brother. Then he also coached his son. His son was a year younger than me. Kid by the name of David Fribley. David was one of my best friends in high school. So I'm hanging out with one of my buddies. His dad coaches us. Um, and his thing was always with me like, when the sport gives something to you, when a coach gives something to you, the way you pay that back is you give back to the sport.
Mm.
It says for me as a coach, he's like, I don't want you to give something to me. If you feel like, man, I've given you something that's worthwhile, that's like, and you want to do something for me, give it back.
Hmm.
So
I
those
love
three guys were my guys.
I love the tell me the name of the history teacher.
Jim Dermody.
Jim, I've said this. I don't know where I learned this, picked this up, but there's many, but one of the superpowers of a coach is they see something in others before they can see it in themselves. And so your
Yes.
your story of Jim's like, oh, spot on. Like he's like, yeah, I see you where this is going, and you were
Yeah.
like, what are
Yeah.
you talking about? No way. So I love that aspect. What do you think about? You mentioned those three gentlemen and your dad as well. And one of the kind of commonalities a little bit to your description there was, they pushed you, they pushed you out of your comfort zone. They didn't give you, not that they didn't give you any slack, but they didn't tolerate. This is my words now. Excuse me. They didn't tolerate you slacking off. Like they expected higher of you. As a kid and even some adults, you have choices to deal. You can either take those corrections and those points of view and embrace and move forward with them, or you can push back and say, I don't know why you think you can tell me what to do and I know better and all this kind of stuff. What do you think about those gentlemen and the way they taught you, nurtured you, supported you, challenged you? What was it about, whether it's about them or what was it about you that you took the former, you took the like, I'm going to embrace that and go forward with it in a positive manner. Not that you didn't push back at all, because
Yeah.
again, you're 16 years old. I'm sure they said something. You're like, that guy's crazy. That's never going to happen. And you found out and you should have listened. But what was it you think about your nature, your stance at that point that you embraced it instead of challenging it?
I mean, I think their message kind of echoed kind of what my dad was trying to teach me, and I'll say it like that. Was I great at it? No. Did I push back a lot? Yeah. Sometimes like you get that like, why are you being so hard on me, bro? Like, what's your
Mm-hmm.
deal? Like,
Mm-hmm.
why is this so serious? And when you're 15, 16, 17, you can't see it. But I think it was one of those where, you know, you kind of always push back against your parents, right? You hit that
Mhm.
stage where you're like, hey, you're really not as smart as you think you are. I'm a lot smarter. Just ask me, I'll tell you. Or don't ask me, I'm still going to tell you.
Right.
Um, but I kind of just started vibing with the people, not really understanding that I was agreeing with my dad and agreeing
Hmm.
with my mom.
Hmm.
Because I want to leave my mom out of there. My mom's for
Yeah.
like,
Dude,
um,
I have learned if someone tells me how great their dad is, there is a positive mom influence because of I've been married for
yes,
18 years. I get it 100%.
yep, yep. But that message I was getting at home was being repeated.
Hmm.
And so I kind of gravitated towards that without realizing that that's what I was doing was, oh, hey, these people are affirming what my parents have been trying to teach.
Hmm.
And it's actually what I crave. This is the thing that I want because that structure, that guidance, that, hey, don't just settle.
Yeah.
Work towards a goal, work towards things that are positive.
So it was kind of you were getting hit on all sides. So I'm getting this support at home, and I go to school. Oh wow, they are. You mentioned the word reinforce. They're reinforcing. That's interesting as it relates to our track coaches and the positive impact that they're having with young people. And maybe it's even more important that we are having whether it's some kind of communication or something with our parents because that's a
Yes.
great point. And actually, it's a great point. The other side of as much positive influence that you have as a track and field coach that if you don't have parental support, oh, it could all you could be the greatest coach in the world if you don't have the 16-year-old's parents at home supporting that, on the same page, if you will. The maximal performances and things like that won't come.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting, especially in,
Yeah.
I don't want to say I try, James, at our age and stage, I try not to be that guy, the old guy shaking my fist saying, kids these days, because I don't believe it.
No, no,
I,
no,
I just
absolutely
don't.
not.
I think there were stressors today in 2026. There were stressors in 2016. You and I had stressors in 1996. So
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
it's just, now instead of the newspapers, it's social media, and instead of a landline, it's a cell phone. I think it's the same there. Well, that's cool. I love that. Were you Okay, another kind of what kind of athlete were you? Because talk about shaking your fist. We like to say, these kids these days, they don't know who the top shot putter in discus. They don't know who the world record holder is, and they don't know, the guys back in the day. Did you, as a thrower, were you the kind of kid like? Did you know? Let's see, when we were growing up, who would have been? I can't even think of who. I don't think I knew any discus throwers when I was in high school. When you were in high school, but did you know like who the Olympic champ what the world record was, who the state record? Did you know any of that, or
No,
it was just
so
like,
like I would have known, back in the day, like I would have known guys. I couldn't tell you, I can't remember now who our state record holders were then.
mhm.
I knew like our school records.
Yeah, okay,
So like I knew obviously because his younger brother was or
hmm
my coach, his younger brother was our state champion and record
right,
holder at the time.
right.
But then like I knew who our disc record holder was.
Mhm.
But
Did you
like
know like in that area? So athletes you would have competed against in conference and regionals or whatever we do there in Indiana. Did you know like who the other main competition was?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I'm one of those kind of ridiculous stats nerds.
Mm-hmm.
So like as a coach, like, I'm on Tifers all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
all Tifers mile split athletic.net. Like I'm stat chasing all the
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
I can go back and show you ridiculous amounts of stats that I've got from my guys that I coach.
Mm-hmm.
I was a hungry stats nerd
Mm-hmm.
for football. Now, like outside of like the pro, like in track, for like Olympic level guys, like I was a huge Carl Lewis guy.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
Love the sprints.
Mm-hmm.
So we were 95, so 96, that was the Michael Johnson era,
Mm-hmm.
him
Mm-hmm.
and the gold spikes, the
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta Olympics.
Yeah.
So that I was engaged there, but not
Yeah.
with necessarily with throws.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Like I said, I can't even think. I mean, would this have been Lance Deal era and Mac? But I feel like that's before even the 94s. Someone's yelling at me right now. Listening, it's like, oh my God, how do you not remember the
Yeah,
96
yeah,
champ
yeah.
and so and so? Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Okay, it's senior year.
Yep.
You started walking us through, like, I'm starting to think about what am I going to do in the next level, not only where am I going to go, but what sport, things like that. So talk to us about how that transpired or where you ended up going, and uh, start by telling us what was 18-year-old James thinking about majoring in college, thinking about I'm going to become a business owner, a doctor. What were you thinking at that time you would become as an adult?
Man, so if I didn't end up going to traditional university, I ended up being a trade school guy
Yeah,
whenever I
okay.
graduated.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So, had I went to a 4-year university, I would have either done um, majored in either like math or history and
History.
went
Yeah.
into the teaching profession.
Yeah. What
Um,
was mom or dad a teach? What mom or dad do?
no, so my dad is a tradesman. My
Hmm.
dad was a pattern maker for 47 years.
What does that mean, a pattern maker?
So if you like tool and die,
Okay.
but specialized. So he worked at a gray iron foundry.
Hmm.
And so if you know anything about the gray iron process, they take a pattern of something that they're making. So I'll give an example. The place he worked, they used to make housings for 18-wheeler transmissions.
Okay.
So like the transmission housing, they made the castings for those. That's
Got
just
it.
one of the things.
Got it.
But you would take a pattern and you'd fill it with sand, pull it off, and then you'd put that together and pour
Yeah.
iron into it.
Okay.
So
Now I'm
he,
tracking with you. Yeah.
yeah, he worked on the patterns
Hmm.
that made those.
Hmm.
So I actually followed a similar path when I got done. But to the high school piece, like I would have been going, like I said, either history or
Hmm.
mathematics, and being a teacher and a coach.
So you went trade show. You know what I love about this is I thought when we started this back in January 2020. In fact, I think the first interview I actually conducted was December of 2019. But I thought, first of all, did not think 7 years later we'd still be doing that. There'd still be demand for it. So I love that that has come to fruition. But I would have thought, I bet you there are 20-ish different ways to become a coach. And then as I started learning more, I was like, okay, maybe there's 50 different paths, but there's a finite number. Dude, we're nearing 400. I bet you we have uncovered 400 different ways. And I say that because it's been almost 400, so give me some grace on the memory part of it. I don't know. I can't think of someone who went to trade school out of high school that has been on the show. So this fascinates me because you hear that if you're paying attention on social media and media in general, you hear a lot about like, hey, instead of traditional 4 years, and by the way, I'm not necessarily a guy who agrees with 4-year colleges. It still boggles me that we make 18-year-olds make a decision that will
Yeah.
affect their lives the rest of their life. Oh, and we're going to charge you a crap ton to do it, to make that decision, by the way. So you hear a lot about like, hey, we should encourage our young people to go trades and things like that. Before we hit record, I told you about my neighbors with the Ethiopian kids, right?
Yeah.
Their older brother did that. He went into an apprenticeship for electricity, I believe, and with the union. And now, I mean, he's a 22-year-old kid that makes more than I'll ever
Stupid money.
make.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 and loving it, enjoying it. What is what like tell us what, like I hear that go to trade
Yeah.
school, etc. What
Yeah.
does that mean? What does that look like? How did that look like for you to actually go into the trades and trade school?
Yeah. So what it looked like for me, honestly, so going through senior year, I definitely was thinking I'm going to college.
Mhm.
I mean,
It's a
that's what I'm going
traditional
to
college.
traditional college,
Mhm,
right? So
mhm,
I applied to a number of schools around us.
mhm,
Manchester University,
mhm.
Anderson, Wabash College.
Great
Um,
schools,
I
man.
yeah, I applied to Notre Dame because every kid around us, you either
Because
love
you
Notre
wanted to
Dame or Michigan or
burn a
Ohio
hundred
State.
dollar. Yeah, got it. Yep.
Yeah, so I did the application there. I mean, because I went to football camp. Lou Holtz was Notre Dame's coach back in the
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
Went to camp there. But I took a visit to Manchester when I had gotten accepted and was planning on playing football. Took a visit over there, and in a weekend visit, as immature as I was as a 17-year-old, I was mature enough to know, man, I'm not really sure that this is what I want to do.
Mm.
Um, so, like I tell you today, like had I went to a traditional 4-year school, I would have done history or
Yeah.
math. At 17, I couldn't have articulated that to you.
Okay. Got it.
It would have been, hey, I'm going to go to school and play football.
Right.
Um, I knew going that like so I went that weekend and it was back in the day when you did stuff that you weren't supposed to do and the guys
Mhm.
on the team take in.
Yep. Yep.
So I came home and I'm like, I don't know what I want to do, but I know that I can't go do what I just did there every weekend, not knowing what I want to do.
Oh, interesting. That
So
takes a level
I
of maturity for a 17-year-old.
I I I didn't understand it at the time. I'm blessed that ended up shaking out that way.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it was like I this was a lot of fun, and not necessarily knowing what I want to do. Like this is going to cost me a lot of money because, as you know, D3,
Yeah.
like if they really want you to come, they're going to find some academic money for you.
Right.
And I was a pretty good student, so like there was a little money there, but not enough to pay for it.
Hmm.
And my parents, God love them, they didn't have the money to send me to school.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't want to get done and be in debt. So I
Hmm.
literally just went into the workforce to start.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Um,
what you have a example in front of you with your dad? Did you go work for that company? What was the
I
first?
actually did. I
Yeah.
actually did. I
Uh-huh.
actually worked with my dad for
Oh.
2 years. Um,
Like when you say work with, not just like in the same
Same department, same
yeah.
same
Oh.
role. And so that turned into taking some community college classes that were
Hmm.
involved in the trade and kind of
Right.
going, I think I might want to do something like this.
Yeah.
Not here, particularly in this industry,
Right.
but I think this is something that I want to do.
Yeah.
So I worked for 2 years before I got the opportunity to go serve a tool and die apprenticeship.
And so I'm not hearing coaching at all at this point.
Okay, so the coaching at that point. So I told you, rewind back to my three guys, my head
Hmm.
football coach, my freshman football coach, and my track coach.
Right.
Um, my head football coach had kind of encouraged, hey, if you want to go play, I will help you. He was one of those guys
Good dude. Hmm.
back in the day that would make the phone calls and help you if you needed to go someplace. And
Right.
so he had made all those connections. At the same time, he's like, hey, if you're not going to go, I really think you would be good at the coaching thing. Would you
Oh,
like to
look
hang
at
around
that.
and help out next year with our freshmen?
Wow.
And I mean, because if you like at 17 years old, I would have, when we unpacked all of the coaching stuff that I've done, I'd have never at 17 years old been like, hey, I'm going to have done all of this stuff in
Right.
coaching. No way. Like,
Right.
no, I don't want to do that. Um, but it ended up, like I still had that love for the game. And so that ended up being the connection back
Yeah.
to it was, yeah, I'm gonna start coaching. And I legitimately at 18 and that next fall, I had no business coaching. I
Yeah.
was
Yeah. Of
not
course. Yeah.
ready.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't think any of us when we first start are ready.
No, 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 no. It always does amaze me. Like I started coaching, I graduated 18 years old, did a year. Yeah, I started coaching at 19, almost 20, and I look back, I'm like, oh, what the like those guys are
Yeah,
idiots.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Why'd they have me doing this? That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
So when you're doing the 2 years of work, you're helping out at the high school because it's all in
yep,
the same
yep,
community. You're right
yep.
there.
I
Yeah.
started I started coaching that fall. Had
Mainly
a
football, or did you do some track in
Yeah,
the spring?
just football at
Yep.
that
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
Ended up there's a gentleman. Ended up being his first year. He had just graduated college. Guy named Andy Thomas. Andy actually just got out of. He was when he left Warsaw. Um, got a head coaching job. I want to say he went to Garrett High School after he left us. I know he's coached at Garrett. He just got out of coaching at Angola High School, which would
Mm-hmm.
be someplace that you would probably be
I
familiar
know
like when you
Angola.
were in Woodburn.
Hmm.
Um, his son's a senior, so he's in the same class as my son, just
Hmm.
graduated. And I think he's finally gotten that like 25 years in. Like, man, I've done it for a while. But he
Right.
was my head freshman coach when I first started coaching. I was an
Yeah.
assistant for that guy.
Right.
And it was crazy when I got done looking back to, like, hey, there's these guys that I did this with that are still in it. Like,
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I also spent 2 years as the women's assistant coach at Ball State University. So
okay,
you're naming all these towns. I'm like,
Muncie,
oh, I was like, we had a kid from Valpo. I knew Valpo. We had one of our best distance runner, Jill Scully, was from Valpo, and Angola. Yeah, we had a great thrower from that. Yeah, yeah. I know. Indiana's I tell you, it's a cool state for track and field. It's not traditionally when you think about nationally, of course, we think of our California, Texas, and Florida states. A lot of that's population based. But
yeah.
man, here in the Midwest, the Wisconsins, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, boy, there's some great athletes for this sport coming out. And what I love about Indiana, about 2 years ago, probably getting on close to 2 years now, we interviewed one high school coach from each state. So all 50, actually 51, because we
I
included.
remember when you did that
Yeah,
series.
and we did Indiana. In fact, Eric Kramer's brother was our Indiana representative, and it's a cool one class. Boy, when you said your coach's brother was the state champion, I was like, well, I know what that means in Indiana. He had to beat everybody,
It
regardless of
is
how
a
big his school was or how small his school was. He had to be
yes.
the top of all the throwers in that state, and I think that's really stinking cool, man. I like
It,
their
it,
system.
it definitely is. It's a when we travel and go to nationals and stuff, and we start kind of chopping it up with coaches from other states and unpack our system. They're like,
Wait, what?
"What?
What class? Yeah, yeah, the
Yeah, yeah,
class.
the only." So yeah,
I love that. Okay, so you're getting some taste of coaching as
yep.
right out of high school. You do 2 years of in the workforce, and then you said you got an opportunity to become an apprentice. And like I said, my neighbor's son became that too. But I don't really know what that means because the way you said it means it's more than just like, oh, I applied or I just started working for this guy and he became my mentor. What does that mean? I got an opportunity to be an apprentice.
So I was working at the place where my dad worked. We had a buddy that his dad worked for General Electric. GE used to have two or
Used to
three
be
massive
big.
plants in Fort
Yeah.
Wayne. They were hiring tool and die apprentices. So man, it was a pretty extensive like application process you had to go to get into it. There was some standardized testing. You had to go through an interview process. They're,
Oh, okay.
looking for mechanical aptitude and all that kind of stuff. So it ended up being like 250 some guys apply for it and they selected four.
Wow.
And I had the good fortune of being one of the four.
Wow.
So at
So
20 years old, go ahead, Mike.
is it so that just sounds like well, I'm gonna belittle it here a little bit. I'm sorry. That makes it sound like it's just a regular job. Like I mean, I know you had to do tests and stuff like that, but apprentice makes it sound like internship. Like is it a melding of the two? That's
Yeah,
what I just don't
yeah.
understand why they call it
So
that.
yeah, so I mean, it's definitely not just a regular job.
Hmm.
Like, so it's a um I want to like it's a work study program where you are going to school and learning on the job as you're going.
Okay.
So we hire in and we immediately start doing the job.
Hmm.
But you are like I was assigned to two different journeyman tool and die makers, and I kind of spent most of my 4 years that I was going through my apprentice program with these two guys,
Mm.
learning. They were 30-year guys in the trade.
Right.
I'm learning how to do the trade from them.
Right.
And then we're also going to school at the time.
Mm.
So work all day, go to school at night, and you're,
Oh.
you're taking machining classes and
And that's
and
part of the
welding class.
apprenticeship. Like GE is
Yes.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, so
And
so GE is running an apprentice program that was sponsored by the Federal Board of Labor. So when I got done,
okay.
I got my journeyman tool and die makers card that says, "Hey, this is like this guy's the stuff."
Right. And is an apprenticeship a set amount of time as well? So like
Yes. So
that's you mentioned year four, so 4 years, and then you might get hired on full time, but we may not have a slot. You may have to go find something else.
yeah. So we were
Wow.
fortunate enough. GE was a union company. This isn't a kick on unions or not or
Sure.
whatever. But we were guaranteed when we got done, if you were proficient when you got done, that you had a spot.
Okay.
But
Okay.
the standards were very, very high.
Right. Right.
Like,
Right.
it was you had to maintain a certain grade point average in your classes.
Right.
You had certain like we had testing that we had to do along the way of certain skill sets. Hey, you have to be able to do this and be proficient in this and show this. They took some of it and customized themselves, and so we had like
Hmm.
a project that we had to do. Like, hey, you've got to be able to build this thing by the time you get done. We're going to give you a project that's your
Mhm.
end of your apprenticeship project that you've got to turn in. Like it was a big deal,
So
but it was 8,000 hours of documented work time. And then I forget what our total number of class hours were that we had to get done. But I mean, it basically was credit hours like in
yeah,
college.
yeah.
Consider
A-
it like a 4 year
And you're
degree. That's the number of hours we had to get in class.
getting paid.
Yes.
Yeah, good. Okay. So it'd be kind of like I don't know that I mean, maybe somebody does this. It would be like if we said like, here, Gil, okay, we're going to hire you. Maybe we'd hire someone straight out of college because for my example here, but we're going to pay for your MBA as you do these different things in our business and then go to MBA class at night. And then at the end of that 2 years, okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense. So kind of a grad assistant, but specific to the trades.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
try. Yeah, I never knew much about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go through that program,
Yep.
keep us moving forward. Where's
Yeah.
coaching at, and you're doing the
Yeah.
apprenticeship. And
So while I was doing that, I got out of coaching for those 4 years.
I was going to ask
Um,
if you
yeah.
said you were coach. I'm like, wait a minute, where? You told me
Yeah.
you're working during the day, you're class at night. Where in the world are you doing? Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I was definitely not coaching. So I coached for those 2 years, got the opportunity to go do this. So I got out of coaching full time in. Now, at this point in time, also, I got married at 20.
Yeah.
So I got married at 20, plus started a job with full time school, and also worked a couple side jobs because that's the thing you do when you're 20 years old. And, everybody's like, hey, you're getting married really young. What are you doing? So the wife and I are like, buried eyeball deep
Yeah.
in everything life. So I get done with my apprenticeship, and a gentleman, uh, another guy that I have a huge level of respect for, a gentleman named Keith Reinhold. Keith, his family owns a furniture store here in our hometown. It's called Reinhold's Furniture. I worked for him like when I would have holidays off from my job, I would actually go work at the furniture store,
Hmm.
moving furniture.
Yep.
So they deliver stuff, and so I'd go and work. I worked out at a gym with him. Had known the family, but Keith was kind of a local athletic celebrity around here. He graduated from Knox High School, and then went and played football down at Taylor University.
Hmm.
Um, but was a local coach, like youth coach.
Mm-hmm.
Used to be involved in coaching football at our high school before
Mm-hmm.
my head coach was here. But he was actually coaching at one of our middle schools. Warsaw has two. And he's like, hey, man, I would love it if you would come coach with us.
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, yeah, sure. I'm getting done. I want to get plugged back in. Um, so I got back into coaching the year that I got out of my apprenticeship. And then that's the year also that I picked up some track coaching.
Okay. What so I mean, I'm getting the vibe here. You're a Warsaw guy through
Yeah.
and through here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Most definitely. Most
my, my
definitely.
my favorite things are always like trying to peg how old someone is because that helps me. Like, listen, I know how you grew up because I grew up at the exact same time. So if someone tells me they graduated in 2000, I'm like, oh, okay, because like it's all about technology. I'm like, okay, you did or did not have YouTube, you did or did not have social media, you like those kind of things.
Right.
But also like, oh, so where are you growing up? Because we don't always. I mean, I did not grow up in Champaign, Illinois, where we are now. I grew up all around the country. So that also kind of helps. Where so you are. I mean, you've got the tattoo Warsaw on your back there. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Born here. Yeah. Born, raised.
Love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Love that. So you now you're getting into even more coaching because now you're starting to do some track.
Yep.
Talk to us about. I'm gonna ask this kind of a weird way. I think I can ask this with you on this way. When are you getting serious about coaching? And what I mean by that is not just um, showing up and doing the things the way you were taught. We generally coach the way we were coached until we start doing coaching ed and peer conversations, things like that. Where are you in your seriousness? Like, oh, I want to become better, Coach Randall, not just, oh yeah, James used to play for us. He's an alum, and that's why he's out here helping out and things like that. Were you doing any kind of studying, going to clinics? We recently had Brian Kennedy, head track coach and defense coordinator for University university school out in Ohio, and we got into a great discussion because I'm a huge coaching education advocate of how big football clinics and like
Yeah.
I thought track led the way. Psst, millions more football.
Football clinics are insane.
That's exactly what Brian Kennedy said. Are you at this point? And if not, where maybe does it come in? Are you starting to like, oh, I maybe need to learn schematics a little bit more than just how I was taught. I need to learn how to actually coach shot putters, not just what we did. And that's not belittling what
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
coaching.
yeah, yeah. No,
Just
no,
taking next
no.
steps. Where does that come
So,
into play?
so I mean, at that stage, I want to say yes and no.
Hmm.
I definitely at that stage was like, man, I want to do this and do it well.
Hmm.
So I took a lot of lessons. Go back to my head football coach, Ted Huber. Ted was one of those guys that was uber organized. I
Mm.
mean, we had a schedule, like daily schedule. You knew every day, here's what the schedule was. And like when we went into 2-a-days, you would get your playbook and it would have the whole 2-week, 2-a-day schedule
Right.
down to the minute. And it was timed. And it was like at 3:04 when this thing's supposed to happen, the horn's blowing
I
and
just
you're
said, you guys have horns? We had horns. Yeah.
Yep, yep, yep.
Hmm.
So, I learned that organization there.
Hmm.
And then when I coached with my friend Keith Reinhold, Keith was one of those guys who was also very organized.
Hmm.
And so that I kind of thrived on that. Man, we want to do things, know what you're doing
Right.
and how you're doing it, and have a plan. So that way it's like the kids can learn well. We're doing them a disservice if we don't have a plan. Because if you're just flying by the seat of your pants, you're not teaching them anything. Now
Right.
you might get in and figure out like this plan sucks. But at least you got a plan and you can adjust the plan, right?
Right. Right.
You know?
Yeah. All
So
no plans suck. Some plans suck. All no
yeah,
plans suck. Right.
yeah.
Right. Right.
So then, I mean, that started turning into like, because I told you, back when I played, I had that kind of hunger for knowledge of I wanted to know what
Hmm.
everybody was doing,
Hmm.
right? And so as I'm coaching, like in football, I coached offensive and defensive line. It's what I played,
Hmm.
but I really wanted to understand like how do we call plays? Schematic. Like we're in a game, and how are we
Hmm.
thinking about this play and the next play? And like you hear NFL coaches like they'll script their first
Hmm.
series or their first two or what. I wanted to think like that.
Hmm.
Um, kind of conceptually, same thing with coaching track, with coaching shot. My high school coach was another guy, high level thinker when it came to drills and technically how we worked and all of your he's talking about modalities whenever we're in high school, and I'm not understanding like how are we playing, like why are we doing what we're doing when we're doing. And
Right.
he was already thinking about that stuff 30 years ago, I think, before people really were understanding like the phases whenever you time and how do you do loads, and not
Right.
back in the day whenever we competed, you had two dual meets a week and you just went and everybody tried to PR every time you went, and
Yep.
your best sprinters ran the 100 to 200 to 400, and either your 4x1 or your 4x4,
Yeah.
and you wanted to win, that's all you cared about.
Hmm.
And he was thinking bigger than that at
Hmm.
that time.
Interesting. And you're
So
picking
yeah,
up on
so
that.
yeah, and so
Hmm.
and at that time, I don't want to. This is no disservice to any of our coaches at any lower level of youth,
Hmm.
but I say only coaching middle school. But at the time, that's what I was doing. I was coaching
Hmm.
middle school.
Hmm.
So you can only go so deep there,
Hmm.
if that
Because
makes sense.
in middle school,
Yes, you can
because
only go so deep there because of like I think I'll talk about this. Like I think kids are only ready for so much.
yeah, okay, that's what I'm saying.
And
Because of the kids, because you're dealing with
yeah,
eight graders and seventh graders, and yeah,
exactly,
of course, they
exactly.
have a lower capacity than a senior in high school or a senior in college. Yeah, okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense. I mean,
yeah,
that's the reason why playbooks are this big for some places and this big for others, and it's not because of the coach. It's because the coach knows, like, oh, I can't give a playbook this big to a seventh grader. What the
right.
heck? They can barely tie their shoe. They're seventh graders for a reason, right? Yeah, okay, that
Yeah,
makes
yeah, yeah,
complete
yeah.
sense. That makes complete sense. 100%. Like, in fact, if if you weren't talking that way, I'd be like, you're doing it wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah. Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
I mean, you're not talking about training age, nothing, brother. You just like throw it all at them. That's a disaster. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So what's always interesting to me, it's my job as the podcast host is easier when I get someone who has been to multiple, like, oh, and then I was at Warsaw High, and then I went to Homestead for 2 years, because it's like, oh, it's transitions and why'd you go and all that kind of stuff. It's a little bit more challenging, but it's a little bit more deeper when someone has been at the same location for many years,
Yeah.
because there's a lot to learn from that as well. So keep us moving in the timeline. Give
Yeah.
us not necessarily you ain't got to take us all the way up to today right now in one breath, but how has your coaching journey progressed? Whether it's coaching levels, mentors, mental attitude, have you grown as a coach there in Warsaw?
Yeah. So we'll kind of just we'll just stay on the path of what I was doing at that time. So I coached football and track then at Edgewood Middle School. Um, Whenever I graduated from my apprenticeship up until the point in 2008 when we adopted our son.
Okay.
So I graduated from my apprenticeship in like '02. So a 6 year run. Um, on the football side, I got up to like co-assistant head coach. Like I
Hmm.
actually my freshman football assistant that coached with Jim Dermody, a guy named Nick Walenga. So the two of them ran our freshman team together back when I played. I actually ended up coaching with him
Oh,
when my friend Keith, who had been our head coach when I got back in at the middle school, got out. He was like, "Hey, I'd like you and Nick to work together." And so I ran the offense, Nick ran the defense. And at that time, the track thing was literally just the thing to do in the spring.
yep, sure.
It was the same. I kind of treated track then the way that I did in high school
Hmm.
of it's the thing that I do when football's not going on.
Right,
So I was involved with track because a lot of my kids were involved there. And so I'm trying to keep that connection with them
right.
and also trying to keep my offensive line like, hey, I'm going to tell you to go throw. I need to put my money where my mouth is.
Hmm.
Because like all of the foot, like, because you were a throws coach, right, Mike? If I remember
No, no,
correct.
God, no! You just insulted every throws coach there, sir.
I am so sorry.
Sprints,
Somewhere
jumps, and
somewhere in a
hurdles.
podcast, I thought there was a spot there where
No,
you ended up being a
I
throws guy.
I
Ah,
love I look like a throws coach. That's a very stereotypical thing. I'm sorry for all my throws coaches out there. I love the throw. I love all the events. I can't say. No, I'm not going to say because I don't like the 10K. I'm not going to lie and say I like all the
yeah, no, no,
events.
no, no, no.
I
There
love
are a
the
couple that are
throws.
like, yeah,
Yeah, my favorite is the hammer. Like now I'm a hurdles guy through and through. That's my
okay,
thing.
okay,
But I love the hammer. So you might have heard me talking a lot about the hammer because I do love the hammer.
okay.
But
That could have
no,
been, that could have
brother,
been.
I can't figure out what in the world they're doing in that circle, man. It's amazing. It is one of the most you got to be strong, yes, but you got to be agile. You got to be this like actually Val Sion is one of the best examples. You got to be this like
Yes,
freak of a strong athlete, but also a ballerina at the exact same time
yes.
to do this well. So yeah, it's actually a compliment that you think I was a throws coach. So
Okay.
I'm good there. Yeah, I'm good.
I'll tell you what, our throw, we had three guys last year that threw for us at the high school. Um, Two of the three are throwing at the college level now, and one is playing football. Could have been a thrower and chose to play football.
Hmm.
Um, those dudes were some of the best athletes on our
Right?
team.
Yeah.
Some of the best.
Where are the two throwers at?
A young man named James Leiter is up in Allendale at Grand Valley.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Hey,
We,
so their throws coach was a freshman on the Ball State men's team when I was the women's assistant coach. So
okay.
yeah, that also just means I'm old, by the way. But yeah, he's
We
excellent. Love
have
him.
a special place in our heart for Grand Valley. I'll get into that a little bit later.
Good.
And then our other thrower, Ben Breen, is down at University of Indianapolis.
Oh, another great throws program,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so two of our guys, and then our other one, Cam Kaufman, is playing football down. I'm going to draw a blank on the place that he went to.
He's not doing
Um,
track, so it's all good.
no, no, no. He's doing football. Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's
That
all good. You,
bum.
you didn't go to
That
the real
bum.
sport. That's okay. All right, keep us going. Keep us moving.
Yeah. So I'm at the time I'm really digging in and kind of honing my coaching organization sort of
Mhm.
stuff on the football side. I mean, because at the middle school level, still, if you're going to be a quote unquote head coach, right? So my Nick and I, my assistant, like we co-coached that team together, and I ran one side and he ran the other, and that's the way we treated it. And if you're going to do that, you've got to be organized. So I'm
Sure.
putting together practice schedules and understanding, what we're going to do on offense, and I got to know what everybody's doing and be able to teach it well. Get him to teach stuff the way that I want done, because that at that point in time now I'm not coaching the linemen anymore.
Mm.
I'm coaching the offense as a whole. So I'm coaching quarterbacks, receivers, backs. He's coaching my line for me, and I'm making sure that my quarterback and I have got a good relationship. And
Mhm.
so I did that up until '08
Mhm.
when we brought our son home.
Mhm.
And I had always said, like, I will never, anything that I do professionally, I never wanted my kids to resent.
Mm.
So I never wanted to be the guy that's, you know, working extra hours and missing the stuff, right? Like if there was ever a thing that my dad, I don't want to say like messed up or he worked a lot.
Yeah.
And like when I was growing up, it was by necessity.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
like
Right.
I watched my parents. We were, man, when I was little, we were poor.
Mhm.
They dug us out of that through good old fashioned blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
And so by necessity, like extra hours, that's what dad had to do. Um, I didn't like I got to the point by the time my wife and I adopted our son, I didn't have to do that.
Mm.
Um, but I never wanted like any of my hobbies or any of that stuff to be
Yeah.
ahead of my kid. I told you, I think we talked about this on the before we got started. Like when we adopted our son, like I knew God had uniquely called us to him and him to us.
Mhm.
And he sent us on this lifelong missions trip. And that had to be priority number one outside of my walk with Christ and my relationship with my wife.
Let's double click in there for just a second. One is I love. Is your dad still with us?
No,
Okay.
we lit like
Oh, you said he just passed recently.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's been
Yeah.
it's been almost a month.
Oh, wow, that
So
is recent,
it's
James.
recent.
I'm
Yeah, it's
sorry.
recent.
Yeah. As you know this now as a dad, and I'm a dad of two myself, of you want your children to be and do better than you. And
Yes.
so I know, without even knowing your dad, I know that's exactly what he felt with you. And so when you describe about, hey, my dad had to not be around to do extra hours and things like that, and I didn't want that, your dad was unbelievably happy about that. He did not want that for, meaning he did not want you working
Yeah.
12 hours a day and missing kids' birthdays and events and things like. So he's happy that
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
like, I never wanted that for you. I didn't want my life for you, brother. I wanted it to be better. And through his hard work and mom's hard work, that's coming to fruition. You have a better life in the sense of I don't have to miss things for my kids. So I love that, man. That's absolutely awesome. We have had two off the top of my head, Scott Richardson when he was at Auburn University, and our new head coach at oh God, the memory. Boy, she was just on the podcast. Holy cow. Uh Francesca. She's the head coach, not at UTSA. Oh my God, UTEP, University of Texas El Paso. Francesca Green. Thank you. Wow, man. James, I'm getting old, brother.
It
Francesca was not that long ago. She was maybe 10 episodes ago, so that's not great for my memory. Francesca, both are adoptive parents.
okay.
And so, what I would like, if you're good with this, there's someone listening right now that is thinking about adopting or scared of adoption or is in the middle of I know these processes from our friends and family are not, this ain't a 1 year process. These are
No.
years process. And so they're frustrated maybe because they're in the middle of it. Can you maybe help us understand if someone's thinking about it or scared to do it or frustrated, kind of maybe share a little bit of the experience of
Yeah.
what you want to
Yeah,
share
absolutely.
and how you might encourage or advise people that are thinking about becoming adoptive parents.
Yeah. I want to say this from the outset. It's not for the faint of heart.
Hmm.
Um, and this is to the person that's out there that's in the middle of it. Um, stay the course.
Hmm.
Stay the course. As hard as it feels, um, man, we're people of faith here. Man, if you feel that call to adoption, there is a child out there that is uniquely um, that is uniquely going to be a piece of your family.
Mm.
And it's a call. Like I said, we were called to our son. Our son was called to us, and it's great. Like we could do a whole other episode just
Mhm.
talking about that stuff, right? I get pretty emotional because it was hard, man. It
Sure.
was really, really hard.
I've
Um,
never heard of a story that was like, oh, it was super easy. Like it is tough, and maybe it should be tough because you are putting a
yeah,
child into your hands, but it's hard. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it can be gut wrenching. Like I think I told you
Mm,
before. Like we lost one in process, so we had a child die in
mm.
country before we were able to bring him home. So I mean, we've experienced some stuff.
Do you,
Um,
I can't imagine losing a child. I mean, it's the worst that, when you lose a parent, that's tough, and you're
yeah,
going through that,
yeah,
James. A parent losing a child, I mean,
yeah,
I can't imagine.
yeah, yeah.
Did you? I don't know how. Like, how was that? When losing that child, was that how? Boy, this is a terrible question, James. I'm sorry.
No, no, you're okay. Please ask it. Please do.
Well, I'm not. I'm trying not to put a value of a kid like, oh, well, I didn't even know him, so it didn't hurt me that bad. But this was someone who wasn't in the family. Like they, my understanding is you hadn't got him over here to the States, but passed away. So
Yeah,
I mean, that's hard. When you talk about hard, there's hard. You kind
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
lost a
yeah,
child. That's the
yeah.
closest thing I could describe it with.
Yeah, no, we did, man. You know, still have a baby picture.
Mm.
Still, um, yeah,
It was real. It was a real.
the very, very real like that. That was our little boy that we never got the opportunity to hold him. We never, but he was ours. That was family. And the crazy part was um, the year previous to bringing our son Jordan home, um, that previous Mother's Day, right? So my wife and I were married for about 10 years before we got in. And I'm not, this is a track podcast, so we're not going to go that whole route, but it was a hard process to get to the spot of, man, we're called to adoption. But that previous Mother's Day, we walk into church that Sunday and they give the moms carnations. And so they give my wife a carnation and I'm like, next year at this time, you'll be a mom,
Right.
right? And so we get through all of that. And so Emmanuel was the little boy's name who would have been our first. He was born in December of '07. Um, February of '07, we found out or February of '08, we found out he had passed away.
Mm.
So we get to Mother's Day that year, and it hasn't happened.
Hmm.
And I have to tell you, the two hardest days of that year were the day that we got the phone call that, hey, he's gone,
Hmm.
and that Mother's Day.
Yeah, you gotta relive it.
'Cause I
Yeah.
had to watch my wife,
Yeah.
who this gal that God made to be a mom,
Right.
unbeknownst to us, that our son Jordan had already been born, and we just didn't know it yet. We hadn't gotten his
Mhm.
referral. So
How do you stay strong and say, okay, this is horrific, with Emmanuel, and still go through the path of adoption? Like, how do you not just quit right there, James, and be like, you know what? We thought God was talking to us about being a parent. Maybe God's telling us that we're not supposed to be a parent. How do you
Oh,
continue to positively move forward?
man, so I laugh at that today because I had this shouting match with God out in my garage
Yeah.
after he had passed, because it was this, like, I wanted nothing. I individually wanted nothing to do with international adoption. I was not I was not against adoption. Like, my wife has two cousins that are adopted.
Hmm.
And so when she and I are dating and I marry into her family, and those families come together, like, I watched her aunt and uncle do adoption so well, because those kids, they never knew anything different. Like, they knew their story from
Right.
as old as it, like, when they could remember. They never learned the day they were adopted. They always knew.
Hmm.
But they were just kids in the family. They
Hmm.
weren't, that's our adopted son and daughter. No, it's our
Right.
son and
Right.
daughter.
Right.
Like, there was
Right.
never a, So I was in, like, I absolutely, like, I'd buy into it, but I didn't want to go international because it's this, like, something's going to happen there.
Mm.
So when it happened, I have this shouting match with God, like, it's that kind of sort of like, like Job never cursed God, but this whole questioning,
He
like,
questioned.
he questioned, right? And so
Why,
I
Lord? Why?
questioned really, really hard.
Yeah.
Um, but I had a good friend of mine who was a pastor that guy that I went to school with that was just kind of like, man, this is this spot where as a husband, you've got to throw the backpack on and shoulder the grief and shoulder the heavy because this is where you guys are supposed to go. So give your wife the opportunity to grieve and figure it out, right? And so as a husband, I kind of go, okay, here we go, right? Like I'm gonna come hell or high water, that girl's gonna be a mom, and I'm
Right.
gonna make
Right.
sure it happens. Like that's my job. I'm gonna
So
make sure that happens.
that's devastating. I can't imagine that phone call about Emmanuel. Tell us I imagine the complete 180 top of the mountain phone call when you got about Jordan.
Yeah, yeah. I get emotional with it because here we are,
Because you're a good
we're in that
dad. That's why.
we're in that kid's senior year, man, and that's my buddy, that's my dude, man. Um, so I go back, I have a picture of the morning. So we picked Jordan up Labor Day morning in the fall of 2008, and I have a picture of the first time they handed him to my wife.
Hmm.
And I mean, he literally like they hand him to her and he just like nuzzles into his mom. And it's this whole like, here it is.
Bro,
Here it
come
is. This makes it
on.
all worth it. Makes it all worth it. So yeah, that's so
That's awesome, man.
you're talking about you've got people out there that
Yeah.
are listening that have either done it. If you've done it, God bless you.
Yeah.
And you like you people who have done it, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and for the ones that are in the middle of it, and I'm probably talking more to them because that in the middle of it is
Hard.
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 Um, it's worth it.
Did you have so we had friends that adopted from South Korea, and they had as they were going through the whole and flying over and not and then having to fly again and flying at the last minute to go pick. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's so crazy. But they had like a specific support group somewhere here in Midwest Illinois, and I think it was very specific to like people who were adopting from South Korea. Did you guys have any kind of support system from others who had gone through the
So
process?
we had this weird little white families with black kids here in Warsaw,
Hmm.
specific to Ethiopia. So there are,
Yeah. Okay.
I want to say there are like 7 families here in town
Wow. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
adopted from Ethiopia around the same time that we did.
Wow. Okay.
So actually, our high school superintendent, this guy by the name of David Hoffert. He was our head track coach for a long time here. He's Dave was a freshman when I was a senior in high school.
Hmm. Oh, wow.
Um, but he and his wife have adopted. They had one by birth, and they adopted 2 boys from Ethiopia.
Oh,
The oldest one they adopted from Ethiopia just graduated, so he was one of our track kids.
yeah.
So we relied pretty heavily on the Hofferts. They had traveled to bring Robinson home before we traveled for Jordan. Um, and then we kind of ended up being support for a couple other families
Yeah.
who,
Yeah.
after we went through, they were in the process.
Yeah. So yeah,
So
a
yeah,
community around and became community for others.
yeah,
That's so
absolutely.
important. That's so important. I don't know how anybody can do this on an island.
No,
So to
no,
have a community like that, I think that makes it just for, from on the basics of like just travel, like, oh, you've done this before. What did you do? What would you have done differently? So I don't do it. Like just even the logistical side of it beyond, of course, the emotional and spiritual
yeah,
side of
yeah,
it. So I love hearing that. Great. I'm so glad and glad for Jordan. I'm going to ask you a real softball questions. Every once in a while, I like to ask just,
yeah.
absolute softball questions. You regret anything about the adoption?
No,
The adoption process of Jordan. Yeah,
nope,
yeah, yeah. Okay.
nope. Not announced. Not announced.
Yeah,
I
yeah, of
that
course you don't.
yeah.
Yeah,
Nope.
good, 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 good. Okay, keep us moving forward, and
Yeah.
Jordan will make a reappearance here later
Yeah.
on.
So,
But keep us going here. Yeah, so
yeah.
you
So
you made a
we,
decision. Sorry, let's see. I do remember where we are, James. You remember you started. Okay, we're going through the adoption around '08, and you said, "Hey, there's going to be less distractions when I become a father in regards to son." So you peel back on some coaching, or
yeah. So I got out.
hmm.
I got out of coaching when we
And you
brought
just
him
in
home.
coaching, out of coaching, in coaching,
Yep.
out of coaching. All right.
Yep. So I'm out, and I was out from the time basically up until well, when Jordan got into fourth grade. So it's the same thing as I told you way back when I got
Yeah.
into elementary school. So he's in the same elementary school system, different elementary school.
Yeah.
But he started sports. Now he did like youth soccer and stuff like that. And I think I helped coach. I want to say I helped coach a soccer team one year. And even though I played soccer when I was really little, I'm not a soccer guy.
Hmm.
Um, I get into it more because one of Jordan's best friends plays, and that kid's dad is our head soccer coach, and their family's really good. They're another
There's
adopted
soccer.
family.
Yeah.
They're soccer, and so like I go support and I understand more about what's going on with
Right.
it. But I got back into coaching when Jordan went into fourth grade, starting out with football.
Hmm.
Football was the natural fit for me. My best friend from high school, he and I coached together, which was an absolute blast. So here's one that's just so fun. My best friend from high school, we've been friends for 30 years now. It's the longest standing relationship I have outside my relationship with my wife. Um, his youngest son and my son have grown up together. And so you have best friends, and our kids are best friends. And so it's a generational, and
Cool.
that's so fun, man.
That's
It
cool.
is so fun. So we coached the boys together. Um, and I had the same rule for Jordan that my high school head coach Ted Huber had for us. Hey, if you're going to play a sport, right? So Jordan was what played football as a fourth grader, played basketball, then everything in spring. I'm like, you need to run track. You got to do something so you're not just sitting around. So you got to run track. And in that, I got kind of, with at the youth sports level, that's kind of how it works is you either get the people who are kind of pining to coach, or you get the people who are like, they know you've coached and you
Right.
really want to kind of just watch your kid, but they're like, hey, bro, we need somebody. So I
Hmm.
got sucked back into the track world when Jordan was a fourth grader, coaching our shot putters. Actually, so I was telling you about so our thrower James Leiter that's up at Grand Valley.
Right.
I coached him in elementary school.
Oh, nice.
So there's this tie of a kid who's now throwing in college, and
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I coached a college thrower,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. Um, yeah.
Where
So
does you had mentioned earlier about that you had I can't remember the exact words, but you had some a special love or with Grand Valley. Just that kid, or where does that come from?
no. So when we get a little bit deeper into the coach, I don't want to. We're going to take a detour and get further down the map.
Hmm.
So when we
Because
get
because
farther
it
down
sounds
there,
like the coaching journey now is very son and dad parallel. Is that fair?
yes,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
yes,
That's kind of where I'm
absolutely,
thinking. Yeah.
absolutely,
Mhm. All right.
absolutely.
Keep going. Keep going.
So I'm going through, I'm coaching my son. Football was the main focus. And I mean, football was where I kind of honed all of my stuff,
Okay.
being organized, at that stage, kind of starting to do some clinic stuff.
Hmm.
Um, Jordan, my son's fifth grade year, our current high school head coach moved to town. He's a guy named Bart Curtis. Um, Bart is a Indiana Hall of Famer. This dude has been in the game now for pushing 40 years. Unbelievable human being, like one of my absolute favorite guys on the planet.
Oh, cool.
So Bart actually, when he moved to town, um, I was coaching at our Pee Wee youth level. Introduced himself. I was on the board of our local Pee Wee
Right.
organization. Introduced himself, gets to know me, wants to know like, hey, oh yeah, you grew up here. Who'd you play for? I tell him like, hey, Ted Huber.
Hmm.
Hey, Ted and I are friends. Do you care if I ask him about you?
Hmm.
He gets a hold of Coach Huber. he comes back to me. He's like, listen, whatever you need, literally. Like I called Ted and Ted's like, that's going to be one of your guys.
Nice.
Awesome. Awesome. Right. So I go up through, I coached Pee Wee ball. When my son got in sixth grade, Bart had kind of conned me into going and also coaching one of the middle schools. So I went to our other middle school across town. So
Oh,
we've got
nice.
two here in town,
Hmm.
Lakeview and Edgewood. When I back in the day when I was doing football and track, I was at Edgewood, went to Lakeview for him. That was also where my son was going to go, so it made sense.
Hmm.
Um, did 3 years of coaching the eighth grade football team there. And then when Jordan got into seventh grade, um, still also coaching track. Forgot to tell you while he was in elementary, I actually ended up being our elementary school's head coach.
Oh, nice.
Um, we lost his sixth grade year because of COVID. So my son's sixth grade year was the
Right.
COVID year.
Hmm.
Um, but really fell back in love with the track game through my son, and we'll talk about his journey a little bit here.
Hmm.
Um, he's a high jumper. I
Hmm.
think we talked about that off
Hmm.
camera. Um, and he's been good at it since day one.
Is that right? Okay? I was
He
going
has
to
been
ask. Yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
has been good at it since day one.
Right.
So as a fourth grader, he could jump over bars over his head.
Wow.
And it wasn't anything that we like. I tried high jump as a fourth grader, and it
Yeah, I
was
was going to
back when
say.
the bar. Go ahead.
I was going to say, how did he even find out to do the high jump? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. So the kids in fourth grade generally, like at the elementary school level, like a lot of times the little kids are not going to they're just learning, right? And so they're not going to be, because we score meets at that age, and which is silly to me that we do that, but we do. Um, but very rarely are those little kids going to be. You're not going to remember them until they get to like sixth grade, and that's usually like you get those kids that already start having a mustache whenever they're like 12, and that's the kid that's your fastest 100 guy,
right,
and by the time he's a senior in high school, like he didn't grow anymore. And
right.
um, but no, so Jordan went over with the high jump coach that we had there. We had two sixth graders that high jumped, and we had a spot kind of left for another person. He and one of his really good friends had both been over there as fourth graders. We get to our first meet of his fourth grade year. Um, Usually at the elementary schools, usually like your gym teacher is also one of your coaches around somewhere. So our gym teacher at the elementary school is a guy named Kent Phelps, one of our favorite people. He's the track coach. I'm helping him out. We got a couple other people. Our first meet, he comes down with the flu. And so he's like, hey, can you run stuff for me? And I'm like, bro, all right, well, come on, dude.
How
Like
sick are you?
like, what are you doing? So we go to this meet, and he's got all the lineups, and we've got a spot so we can enter 3 kids into every event. We get to the high jump. We've only got 2. I'm like, hey, man, you don't have anybody in high jump. What do you want me to do? And he's like, hey, get a hold of Courtney, the one coach, ask her who she had. So I go ask, and she's like, hey, it was Jordan and his friend Maiden. And I call him back, and I'm like, no, you don't get to do that to me. Like, it doesn't matter what I do. Like, I'm not going to pick my kid
Right, right,
because,
right.
like, I'm not doing it. And I'm not going to not pick him because I said I'm not doing it.
Yeah, right.
So he's like, I'll tell you, I'll flip a coin. He flips a coin, and hey, it's Jordan. And he goes
Well,
out and
wait a
just,
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Are you telling me that it's some, not the whole enchilada here, but there is some percentage of, because for people who don't know his son, you're stay tuned, is based on a coin flip that he could
yes,
have
sir.
not been
Yes,
in the high jump if it lands on tails instead of heads.
yes,
Dude, we sometimes forget how important luck is in our life in general, by
yes,
the way.
yes.
Holy cow. Okay. Wow. So thank goodness the coin lands
Well,
on
and
all
I
the
still
heads.
I still go back to saying it's a God thing though, because if you read in the scriptures,
Yeah.
God says man cast a lot, like the Lord determines the outcome. Like,
Yeah, that's a
so
good
it
point.
landed the way it was supposed to.
That's right.
Um,
That's right.
but that very, very first meet as a little tiny little fourth grader, he took second in that meet, his first time ever high jumping in a meet. Um, so yeah, so it suddenly becomes this kind of thing. We go through that elementary season. One of the things that we do here in Warsaw, our elementary sports are crazy in a really good way. So we do city tournaments for every sport that the kids do. So
Hmm.
um, we do one. Football's not tied into our elementary schools. That's the only one it's not. But like we have a city soccer championship, a city volleyball championship,
Hmm.
basketball, and track. And the two things that I think we do better than just about anybody are our city basketball championship and our all city track meet. The all city track meet is so fun. We have 10 elementary schools that feed our system.
How big is Warsaw?
We've got, we're just under 2,100. So in terms of
Wait,
like,
wait, no, the town.
oh, the town, 17,000.
Okay, I was gonna say you don't have 10 elementary schools, sir, if you have 2,100
Yeah, yeah, no, no,
population.
no,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no. And
21,000. That still seems like a lot.
well, you got to remember that we do have, so Warsaw is, it's Warsaw Community High
Right,
School.
right, right.
So like the town of Claypool, which is a little town south of us, uh, takes care of Silver Lake and Claypool. That
So
little town feeds
so
us.
21,000 for Warsaw, Indiana. What would you guess the school, these 10 elementary schools, the two middle schools, we have more than one high school? Probably not
No,
if you
just
have
the
to,
one high
yeah.
school, just
And
the
the
one
one
high
high
school.
school, they serve a population base of
So
just a guesstimate. Yeah.
Kosciuszko County is like 70,000. We
Okay,
have
okay, okay,
two
okay.
other schools in the county that
Hmm.
are so like Wawasee High School and Tippecanoe Valley High School.
Oh, yep, yep.
They're both smaller than us, rural. Wawasee is a lake community. Tippecanoe Valley is a rural community.
Okay.
But
All right.
like
This makes
Warsaw is
sense.
the
I'm
yeah.
just like, first of all, I'd like this community sports championships that you're describing because it kind of so my guesstimate would be then we have less of these AAU baseballs and basketball, less national. No, yeah, because that's what I was
It's
hoping. I was
still
really hoping.
it's still a thing.
Okay, all right.
Um, I mean, you're never going to get away from it because we've, the Fort Waynes and the South Bends and
Yeah, yeah, they're right there.
all of our
Yeah,
basketball kids and our volleyball kids all
yeah.
go
Okay, all right,
there,
all
and
right,
so it's a little less at the lower levels,
all right,
thankfully.
all right.
Um,
So keep us moving forward just for time
yeah,
because I want to make
yeah,
sure
yeah, yeah. So we get through uh the all city track meet. That's
yeah,
the thing.
yeah.
So
That
all
starts his
10 of these
journey.
schools come in. We do it on a Friday night at our field
Hmm.
over at the high school. Bring all of these little kids in, have this
Yep.
great big track meet, boys and girls both, and we run, like we run the 50
Hmm.
and the 4x2.
Yep.
Um,
So
I
this is
think the
where he
longest,
starts kind of the high jump journey.
yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
his fourth grade year, he took second at the city
Hmm.
meet as a fourth grader, which is like unheard of.
Right.
Um, Fifth grade year, he jumped 5'2" as a fifth grader. Um, Set his the elementary school record, if
Hmm.
that matters for anything,
Yeah.
whatever.
It doesn't, but
Um,
that's it's cool, but it doesn't.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it does, but it doesn't. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have all those stats kept back,
Yeah.
so we
I'm
can just kind
sure
of
you
point.
do. Yeah. I got
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm clear that you have those
Yeah,
things.
I
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
that stuff. I have that stuff on track. But so then we get through that. We get to sixth grade year. That's the COVID year. Everything kind of
Mhm.
the world goes
Yep.
crazy for a year.
Yep.
Go into seventh grade. Um, I'm getting. I'm coaching football still, and the track coaches at the middle school. There was a gal that I threw with in high school. Um, Name's Amy Rice. It was Amy Miles. Amy actually was a shot and disc thrower. Trying to remember, I think she went Junior Olympics in the discus, threw at Indiana State. She was our head coach, and she's like, "Hey, do you want to come help?" And I'm like, "Yeah." But going and helping with them, I'm not coaching throws
Mm.
because she's doing the throw. So I'm
Right.
kind of,
Right.
Jordan's seventh grade year, I'm kind of filling in where I'm needed. At the middle school level, you're kind of, even more than the elementary school, you're kind of herding cats.
Sure.
Like it's boys and girls both, and you're kind of making sure kids are where they need to be. Um, and around that time is where I kind of started to dig in a little bit with high jump.
Hmm.
Um, Jordan's seventh grade year, he jumped 5'8".
So what does that mean when you say you started digging into the high jump more? How did you
Um,
express that?
So our
Like clinics,
on
books, talking to more high jump coaches?
at that point, it was just really kind of just observing.
Yeah, focusing on the okay.
I
Yep, that's
just
fair.
observing and
That's fair.
seeing what it kind of takes.
Yeah, looking at it
Um,
differently than you had
yeah,
in the past. You knew about the high
yeah.
jump, but now it's like, oh, okay, I see kids that do this. Yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of formulating my head because at that
Hmm.
time I'm
Hmm.
still full dug into the football stuff.
Right, 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 right,
Also
right.
helping with basketball then because Jordan was a football, basketball track. So I coached year round at that
Right.
point. I'm coaching football, I'm coaching basketball, coaching track. Um, if you'd rewind back, he would have told you back in the day basketball was the thing.
Hmm.
Track was always like he's good at it, but that's not the thing.
Hmm.
So we hit eighth grade year, and he's a good little athlete, right? I mean, really good in football, basketball. He was that kid that was like, hey, we're gonna go. He's little, but we're gonna go put him on the other team's best ball handler, and he's gonna make their life a living
Hmm.
hell. Like
Hmm.
that's what he is in basketball.
Hmm.
Eighth grade year is where everything really kind of changed for him and for me. As an eighth grader, as a 5'5" eighth grader, he jumped 6'5".
Wow.
And that's
What what
like when
what
we went back,
changed? That's a pretty big jump from seventh to
um,
eighth grade. What
he so
strength, coordination?
I think coordination,
Hmm.
I think because he's still, I mean, he's little. I mean,
Hmm.
he was always able to jump over his head. Like if you tracked through like his seventh grade year, you knew something was there.
Hmm.
Um, if I like go back and show you videos of him as a seventh grader, you're like, no, man, that like he's got a
Hmm.
spatial awareness that you
Hmm.
can't teach.
Yeah, there's
And
something it's hard to
yeah,
describe, but you're like, oh, okay, that kid's a
yeah.
little different than the other one. Yeah. Hmm.
So he doesn't have a jump under 6 foot as an eighth grader.
Okay.
So we're looking and we're like, as an eighth grader at the time, he would have, if you looked at meet by meet, what our high school did that year, he would have been winning high school meets as an eighth grader.
Right.
Now again, like the track game, like a 6 foot jump in high school is good,
Yeah.
right? I mean, there are levels to it. We talk about all the time. Like, man,
Absolutely.
if you got like this year, I've got 4 guys on my roster that are 6 foot plus.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's exciting for me. Like
Yep.
I've got some dudes that are good,
Absolutely.
you know. Um, so we start kind of looking when he had the 6'5" jump,
Yeah.
and I realized exactly what that was because we went and looked. We had a guy named Josh Horowitz. Josh is now the girls' head coach at Westfield High School down in Indianapolis.
Okay.
At the time, Josh was part-time coaching at Columbus North, I believe Columbus North, and also was writing for Mile Split.
Hmm.
So he was our Indiana editor,
Hmm.
and we had made the connection with him there. And he's like, "Hey, do you like?" He's like, "I know our stats aren't perfect, but like this is like top 5 in the nation all time for middle schoolers
Hmm.
based
Wow.
off of what we have." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh shoot, yeah." Um, so
Hmm.
he ends up like we go down to like Adidas Nationals, he middle school nationals. He wins a national championship as an eighth grader.
Yeah.
And I all of a sudden realize I don't know what to do, right? Like he's got something and I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And at the high school, the guy that was our jumps coach was getting ready to get out. He had jumped at an NAIA school local to us, Grace College here in Winona
Hmm.
Lake, Indiana.
Hmm.
Good jumper, good resource, but he's getting ready to get out because he was also our girls soccer coach.
Hmm.
So at the time, I mean, like, man, thank the Lord. Like, this is one of the things where social media is great. Thank the Lord for Instagram
Hmm.
because there are guys posting stuff. So I end up encountering this guy, and he would be a great interview at some point in time. His name's Troy Haynes. Troy is the jumps coach. I got to take a look here. I got to remind myself of his school. He coaches at an NAIA out in California. Um, but Troy he's at Vanguard University out in California.
Hmm.
Uh, in the mid 80s, Troy was a high jumper at UCLA. I want to say 224-25 was his PR. He's got a couple. He got to jump against Rick Noji, if you know that name.
Mm,
Rick was from the state of Washington. We've got kind of affinity for him because he was a short guy. So in
mm,
high school, he was a 7'4" jumper at like 5'8". Um, he got the opportunity to jump against Javier Sotomayor.
I do know that
So I
name.
mean, he got to jump against some
Hmm.
dudes.
Hmm.
His whole purpose in going to school, he studied exercise physiology because he wanted to understand the event better, kind of for himself, because he was wanting to try and qualify and go to trials and all that
Hmm.
stuff, and it didn't pan out. But what it did for him was kind of gave him this kind of drive for coaching the event and understanding it. So Troy's got he's got a runs an account on Instagram. It's called Sky High and Fly Jump Lab,
Okay.
and he does online coaching for people as well as coaching at Vanguard.
Hmm.
So I start seeing some of his stuff, and he's doing like high jump 101. Here's this drill and how you
Right.
do it, and here's this kind of package. So I send him a message and just say, hey, man, I've got a kid. This is what he's done. Do you know anybody in the Midwest that I could connect with?
Hmm.
And he sends back and he's like, man, I'm a California guy through and through. He's like,
Right.
outside of my competition,
Yeah, he don't know
I
nobody. Right,
don't
right.
have
You
any
know what I mean by
connection.
that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
man, if you send
Did
me,
he kind of not believe you
well,
at
so
first?
funny story, because I didn't tell him how tall Jordan was.
But did
All
he
I
even
said
believe
was,
you
I've
like,
got an
hey,
eighth grade.
yeah,
Well,
did
I
he even
said, I've
believe
got an
you?
eighth grader who's done this.
Yeah, an eighth grader
And
jumped
he's
six
like,
five. Did he even believe that?
yeah, he did. He
Okay.
did. He's like, he's like, oh, wow.
He hasn't got hit up enough with people that are like, oh yeah, my kids jumped 7 foot, and it's like, no, they've not. Like they've jumped 6'6", and that off a
Yeah, yeah,
ramp it
yeah.
doesn't count. But it's okay. So he's still a
Yeah, no,
little,
no, no.
yeah.
He believed it.
All right, good, good, good.
Because, I mean, I tried to approach it very humbly. I'm just like, we need some direction.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I don't know what to do with him.
right,
And we think there's something here.
yeah,
Right. I mean, because, I mean, a kid could do something in middle school and top out, and that's
yeah.
it. So he's like, hey, I'll tell you what, send me some video. I'll analyze it, kind of start giving you some pointers and see what I think you need to do. So I
Mhm.
send him video, and it's like 12 hours after I send him the video, I get this, how tall is he? And at the time, he's 5'6", and he's like,
Yeah.
No. And he's like, that bar is clearly like, it definitely is what you say it is.
Right.
Holy cow. So he gives me this whole like video analysis, breaks it down and sends back. And it's like so much stuff. I don't even know what to do with it
Mm.
because I'm still trying to learn the event and everything
And,
else.
and
And I'm like,
and Troy went the exercise. He was the one that went exercise phys route to really understand
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I
So
mean,
he's
he's
got.
break
You talk about
you
levels. He's got a couple
you
levels on you.
you
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
you know. But
Hmm.
so what we end up doing is we kind of go, what are the three most important things today?
Good, 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 good. We've got James frozen here just a little bit. Usually they come right back on, so we'll just give 1 minute. Sometimes the battery dies, and that's why it freezes. So he might be changing his battery. It's fascinating when he's talking about Jordan's development here, and I want to kind of moving forward here a little bit for time to talk about some things there. About development and how I really want to get into some of the recruiting aspects. So as soon as James gets back, we had Danny McCrae, I coach speed over on Twitter, on the podcast a year or 2 years ago, talking about his son Bryce McCoy's recruiting, who went to Georgia actually, and then to Texas A&M. I don't think we've said that Jordan is signed with Georgia, so that's why I made the remark, and you had no clue what the heck I was talking about. But I really want to get into a little bit of the recruiting because James is going to have a unique perspective. Yes, he is Jordan. I think his PR 7'2" and something. He is the coach of a 7'2" high jumper in high school, so there's uniqueness there of the recruiting process. But he's he's a little close to Jordan, right? He's Jordan's dad. So I'm interested to get his feedback inside of the recruiting process, how they picked Georgia. Obviously, Carol Smith Gilbert, the head coach there, who's been on the podcast, probably had a pretty positive influence because she's pretty stinking awesome. But also Ryan Bailey, the jumps multis coach there, does just a fantastic job. And we had talked during the pre-interview about Ryan Bailey and his coaching and stuff. So I'm excited to kind of get over there into that as soon as James is back. Yeah. Did your battery die? That was my guess.
No,
No.
I
Okay.
am assuming that I end up having to connect to my phone on my cell signal. I'm assuming our internet here went down. So
Okay. All right.
we've
No
had some
problem.
storms, so I don't know if something went
All
down there.
all good. I've gotten the ability to fill time. What I'd like to get to,
Yeah.
James, because there's some uniquenesses that you have. So let's spill the beans here just a little bit. So Jordan
Yeah.
going into his senior year, his now high jump PR is
219, 7 2 and a quarter.
7.2 and I said 7.2 and change. So yeah, I was right
Yep.
on there. So 7.2 and a quarter, and he has signed or committed to University of Georgia.
Yes, sir.
He
He's
is
going to
is
go
he's
jump for,
he,
yep, he
he is
is
signed.
he
Yep.
is committed. Yep, he is signed.
So let's talk about this. We had a year or 2 years ago, we had Danny McCoy uh, on the podcast. And his son Bryce McCoy signed with Georgia actually at high school and then transferred to Texas A&M. But very unique that, oh, you're a father going through this recruiting process, but you're also a track coach going through this
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
process.
yeah.
How you wore multiple hats during this process of recruiting, and obviously someone who's jumping 7+ is, you had a lot of options,
Yes,
you
yeah,
had a lot
yep.
of phone calls, a lot of you had everything coming at you. How was talk give us the viewpoint of dad of the recruiting process in regards to overwhelming, underwhelming? I didn't know that we could take this many visits. Talk to us about how dad handled the recruiting process.
Man, I had the good fortune, a good friend of mine, guy named Tony Rastrelli. He runs a track club for us here in town. His daughter is a sophomore at Indiana,
Hmm.
distance runner.
Hmm.
So she ran at Warsaw, was probably, I would say, if you're ranking, she was the second best distance runner that we ever had at the school.
Hmm.
And she was good, one of those that was good from kind of day one. She hit as a
Hmm.
freshman. She was on our girls 4x8 team that went to state, took second that year,
Hmm.
and she was good from there on out.
Right.
So she's running at IU. I got to lean kind of heavily on him on the
Right.
dad side
Right.
of how the recruiting process went because she was IU, Alabama, Florida,
Hmm.
Toledo, Butler. I mean, she had some
Yeah.
well established. I mean, she was being recruited by Florida while Parker Valby was there. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's a big
She
deal.
had her choices. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Right.
she
Right.
had her choices. So we got to kind of lean into that with him.
Yeah.
But then we were really uniquely positioned because, Jordan, from the standpoint of like his high school career, um, he was the number one or number two ranked jumper nationally in his class every year
Hmm.
up to this year. An indoor season this year, he was the number one ranked jumper in the country,
Hmm.
tied with a couple other guys, won Nike Indoor Nationals. So our recruiting was different from other people's, right? Like I've had people like, hey, what's the recruiting process like with all of the roster limits and all of that stuff? And I'm
Hmm.
like, I can't tell you 100% because we had one of those athletes. And so his experience was very different.
Sure.
We weren't chasing schools. I was a little bit beating some schools away with a
Hmm.
stick because
Yeah.
it's like, hey, you're not handling the process right. I need the right place for him.
Right. Right.
So I was uniquely positioned being his coach to kind of dig in with the coaches
Hmm.
that were recruiting as we went along. And so when we got down to the four schools that we visited, we originally had five. All of those coaches I was able to dig in with. and really feel comfortable about the places that we were going to go visit.
That's interesting. You took four because now it's unlimited, right? Like he could have took
Yes.
40. Yeah, that's interesting because so when I coached, it was five, and that was a
Yep.
big deal to get on the list of like, you have a 20% chance roughly if you can get on one of their five. And when it opened up a few years ago, there was like this thought that, oh, these kids are going to go take 20. Why wouldn't you take, visits? I wonder if that actually occurred, because it's interesting that Jordan took four, not five. Like again, he could have took 40, but I wonder, did that actually happen? Are people taking 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 visits? And I wonder, to your point of what you're talking about, the process you guys went through, I wonder if more highly recruited athletes like Jordan actually do less because you dig in more. Like I wonder if if a 6'8" high jumper is like, well, I'm gonna take 40 of those bad boys because they're offering them, and a 7'2" guy is like, I'm actually gonna dig in a little bit more to find the 3 or 4 or 5 that I'm gonna visit. So I wonder by I don't want to
You,
say sought
you know,
out, but you know what I'm saying?
it's a little unique. I mean, so like we encountered a lot of, as he's going, we're encountering kids that are in the same sort of. I mean,
Yeah.
so I'll throw the schools out for you that were our top five.
Mm-hmm.
So Georgia, Nebraska,
Oh, yeah.
Oklahoma,
Yeah.
Purdue, and Cincinnati were our five.
Yeah, 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 yeah. All
Um,
great programs
great
and
programs.
great coaches. You mentioned Oklahoma with
Yes.
James Thomas,
Yeah.
Nebraska. They have boy Justin St. Clair.
Yeah.
He's a heck of a head coach, man. He's got a staff there. Dusty, I think, is there,
Yep. Dusty Jonas is
who's
and
did it and
Dusty's a
done it and
dude,
continues to
man.
do it.
Like
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
good
yeah,
on
yeah.
both sides. He's always got good jumpers.
Yeah.
At one time, he was the number 8
He was
ranked high jumper
amazing.
in the
Yeah, yeah.
world. Like he was the dude.
Yeah, we've
Um,
had Cincinnati's head coach Susan Seaton on the show before. She's an amazing human
she's
being. So
phenomenal.
yeah, so you had some great. That's awesome. Great pick,
Yeah.
boy. Good for him. You guys had some good, not only good, like coaches. Like I think the world of those guys and gals that we just mentioned, but good schools.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
just the school. You can't go wrong going to that school.
Yeah. No. And that was, so, but in that process, as we're kind of encountering kids, it was unique to me, the people, even with like high level athletes, some of the parents who just were kind of just along for the ride and didn't know what was going on, or some of the kids that were, man, I'm just trying to take as many visits as I can. And you can see the like on the parents' face, like they're exhausted. I
Yeah,
mean, we did 4 and it
it's a
was a
lot.
lot.
Yeah.
I mean, like when we first got into it, because I think I kept a list of schools that I knew of for sure we had contact with. And then there were some that, that Jordan talked to. I let him, like the initial phone calls, I let him do all of that stuff. I didn't gatekeep.
Hmm.
I didn't try to lord over the process until it's like, hey, I want to make sure as your dad and your coach
Hmm.
who we're talking to and what's going on. But I had a list of 40 schools that we talked to
Jeez.
in some way, shape, or form, plus some others that he talked to that I didn't even know that like
Right.
I go down to talk to him and he's on the phone. And he's like, hey, you know. So I
Did
mean,
did
it was a lot. It was a
did
lot.
did you, without naming names, because not that people's opinions don't matter, I'm not judging the people's opinions, did you have any uh programs that had reservations on two things? One, his size. I
Yeah,
think you
yeah,
said he's
yep,
5'7" now, right?
yep,
So he's he got to 5'7". It's like, I'm done,
yep,
that's fine.
yep, yep,
Long as 7'2" is not it, as long as we can keep jumping more than 7'2", we're good.
yeah.
Did anybody have like, hey, I'm not sure, I want to take a chance on you, you're 5'7"? And at the same time, because I haven't heard any other events, but I could be wrong here, that he's a one eventer. Were there any reservations? And if so,
So
how did you
so
get over that?
um I think we heard rumors of some coaches that were like, I wouldn't recruit a 5'7" kid for high jump.
Hmm.
And we never talked to them.
Hmm.
Right. So like, because the coaching world, right? It's a small, especially in the track world, like once you're dug into it,
Hmm.
somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody,
Yep.
right? Because the other school that was plugged in there, so you had like Grand Valley.
Mm.
So Steve Jones at Grand Valley State, their high
Dude,
jump coach.
I mean, name a
Um,
better high jump coach, dude. That dude's
Listen,
killing it.
the dude has not only like he's become a really good friend of mine. Like
He's an
we'll just
amazing
chop it up about
person.
high jump.
Yeah.
We've taken Jordan up there for camps.
Hmm.
Jordan's made a connection with Eli Kosiba, their guy
Hmm.
that's now jumping pro. Marcus Gelpy, the kid that's kind of, he was a JUCO guy and in Kansas State and then at Grand Valley.
Hmm.
Like we love those guys up
Stephen
there.
Jones can coach his butt off. Yeah.
Yeah, Steve is that. So, but Steve was a really good um, once we settled that, hey, um, we're going to let Jordan chase this thing,
Hmm.
right? Because I don't think it's D1 or bust in
Hmm.
in any sport. I
Hmm.
really don't. But when we dig in and head coaches are telling us like he's a full scholarship athlete.
Hmm.
Steve understood like, man, see, you guys are a
Yeah. Yeah.
D2, like
Yeah.
it's like if you were any D1 around, like you're our guy,
Yeah. Yeah.
But Steve became a very, very good resource kind of on people you can trust and people
You,
you
you
want
know,
to.
shout out to Steve because I tell you, it says a lot about his character that once the realization of like, all right, I'm not recruiting this kid, like this kid ain't coming here. Most people, and I'm not judging these people
No,
either.
no,
I
no.
was probably this way to be honest when I recruited. Would have cut bait. Hey, good luck to you. You got other people. You're good. I gotta figure out how to get kids to Grand Valley. And instead, Steve was like, hey, this guy, he's asking for help, so I'm gonna give help. Whether he comes to Grand Valley or not, I'm gonna do the best. Like, what great character
Yeah.
Steve
And
has.
he's
So
that
I love
guy.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he got us in. Like Jordan jumped the last 2 years. They do a weekend where they call it Big Meet Weekend, and
Yeah,
they
the
do
big
a
meet.
Big
Yep.
Meet Friday and Saturday.
Hmm.
He got him in the last 2 years into that meet as
Yeah.
an open unattached, where he got to jump against the college guys.
Hmm.
Um, Invited us up to camps. Um, we've got a great relationship with their head coach, Coach Baltus,
Yeah, JB.
because we've sent,
Hmm.
we've sent kids up there.
Oh, right. Yeah.
He actually he graduated from a school that's in our conference, a high school that's in our conference. So there's a connection.
I forget
Um,
he's an Indiana guy. That's
yeah, so
right.
he
Because
graduated.
did he
Yeah.
go to Butler? Is that where he did
So I
undergrad?
can't remember college wise where he
Yeah.
went.
I think he coached at Butler for
I
sure.
think maybe.
But I forget he's an Indiana guy. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
JB's great. I
yeah.
mean, obviously, again, what a leader and one of my dear friends, a kid that I coached back in high school and camps and stuff at IU. Eric Kramer
Yep.
is sprints and hurdles. I mean, it's just a staff full of
Phenomenal
freaking
program.
leaders.
Phenomenal
Yeah,
program. Phenomenal
yeah.
school.
So you
But
had some pushback on the height, which
just a little.
and again, for me, I'd been like, dude, he jumped 7'2". Like, I think we're overcoming that. But I also understand people have their own opinions and things
Yeah.
like that, and they've got to do what they've got to do.
Yeah.
Was he a one eventer, or are you also forgetting to tell me that he jumped 25 foot in the long jump or something?
No, so he does some sprints for us. Um, he's that fast but not fast. Like
Hmm.
on the apron, he's fast.
Yeah.
He's back in the day fast. So he'll run a sub 1100 for us this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at
Wow.
high school, yeah. So I mean, at high school level, like if we wanted to dig in the sprints, we could probably make him a really good sprinter.
Right.
I wouldn't say we could make him an elite sprinter,
Right. Right. He
but
probably wouldn't be
he's
recruited by
not.
Georgia in the hundred.
Yeah, he's not
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
he's not a like he and Braden Williams down there have gotten to be buddies.
Oh
He's
yeah.
not Braden fast,
Right.
right?
Right.
He's not that guy.
How
But
so James, you had your father was an amazing influence on you, and you are obviously an amazing influence on Jordan. How do you predict you're going to handle Warsaw, Athens? That's a little bit of a distance, my friend.
it
How are you gonna do this, Mr.
it
Dad
it is. So
and Mom? I know she's sitting there
well,
going, "Yeah, me too, buddy."
hey, well, let me. I know we're gonna go over on time, and I'm okay with that. If you're okay with it,
Yeah, I'm good.
cool. So uh, long story long, can't tell it any other way. Jordan's junior year, he had jumped 7 foot as a sophomore. So he jumped 7 foot twice as a sophomore. And that's what, like we were, when I say he was good from day one,
Yeah.
he was. He
So
was. So
so
we
six. Did you say 6'5" or 6'8" as an eighth grader?
6'5" as an eighth
6'5",
grader,
ninth grade,
6'9" as a freshman,
and then 7.
7 foot as a sophomore. So we go to our first meet as a junior. He jumps 7'3", and the phone calls start. Right now, we had our first contact. Right, like what is it? It's like June 15th,
Yeah,
I believe,
yeah.
after sophomore year is the first
Mhm.
time coaches can
Yeah.
contact.
I, I'm
So that
I'm
was the
in I'm
first.
in the old school, and it was like July 1 of going into their senior year. You can do whatever you want now as a coach, man. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
so it's June 15th after sophomore year. We
Yeah.
had contact that first day. We were actually at out in Oregon at Hayward at Nike
Oh,
Nationals after
yeah.
Jordan's sophomore year.
Nice.
Um, uh, oh, why am I drawing a blank? Shoot, was the jumps coach at Purdue before Coach Barnes, who's there now. Coach Craig, Raphael Craig.
Oh, Raphael, yeah.
Yeah.
A Gill
So,
podcast alum.
yep. And so Raphael had been their coach. He had been paying attention all the way through. We would see him at meets, and like he did everything so well because
Mm.
he can't talk to us when Jordan's a freshman or sophomore. So
Right.
we'd see him, and then like all of a sudden, like he'd be gone. That very first day, we got a phone call from him. I was out. I was sitting over by the high jump apron, and he called and said, "Hey, when you guys get home, I want to talk to you."
Wow.
So they were the first school to call us. Um, but anyway, so we get through. I'm rambling around. That
Yeah.
junior year, we come back, we go into indoor. Jordan jumps 7 foot right out of the gate, and the phone calls start.
It's amazing.
And one of the schools, because we can talk about them because that's where we're going, was Georgia.
Hmm.
Daryl Shaw, who is their recruiting coordinator and also jumps coach. My gosh, we love that guy.
Oh, cool.
Love Daryl. He's one of those guys you'll figure out. Like you've had Coach Carroll on.
Hmm.
Um, he's a former athlete of hers when she was out at SC.
Nice.
He had a year with her out there, and he's on her staff. The number of people that she has that are former athletes of hers is crazy. Like
Yeah.
once you're one of her kids, you're one of her kids for life.
Yep.
Which was a big draw for us. But
Hmm.
so Coach Shaw gets a hold of Jordan, like, hey, we want to talk to you. Coach Bailey would love to have a conversation with you. He wants which is one of the reasons why like Coach Bailey was big for me. Immediately, he's like, hey, I want your coach and your dad's phone number.
Hmm.
And Jordan's like, well, my coach is my dad. He's like, cool. That makes it
Yeah.
easy.
Instead of two
Um,
numbers, I'm going to give you one.
yeah. So I end up on a phone call with Coach Bailey, and I'm like, okay. So you ask about my wife, and my wife is immediately like, no,
Because
that is
George
too
too far.
far. It's too far. It's too soon. We're in his junior year. She's like, why are all these like it's too soon
Oh,
for
this is
all
her baby. This ain't even senior yet. She's like, dude, he's
yeah.
still my little. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's too soon for all of this. And I'm like, honey, that like it's not like this we got to dig in with this. This is stuff we get to do because of where he's at. Right? Like we get to do this thing because
Right.
of, you know, um, and so, that whole process plays out. Coach Bailey comes to the house, actually comes to our house on Super Bowl Sunday. So that
Wow.
tells you how serious this whole thing is.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, yeah.
He's at our house for like 4 hours. And then Jordan and I take him over. We've got a really nice indoor facility back here at home.
Hmm.
We take him over to the indoor. He leaves. We come back, and my wife's like, gosh, dang it. I really wanted to hate that guy. Like, just so I could cry. And she's like, I love that guy. Like he walked in the house, hugs my wife, like sits down. I mean, just and if you know Ryan at all, he's just one of those guys. Like you want to be around him. He's such a good dude. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so we actually Georgia just had their first outdoor meet at that new facility last week.
Hmm.
That was our excuse me. That was our spring break. We took the trip down and went to the meet
Hmm.
because we wanted to kind of experience the first one. So Jordan went down, hung out with his future teammates. He was down on the
That's
apron
so
while high jump was
cool.
going on Saturday.
Wow.
Figured out what it's like to drive down there so that we kind of
Yeah,
know.
that's right. Yeah.
About a 11-hour drive for
Hmm.
us.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I said it
Did
from the
did
outset
that
with
help?
him.
Is that helping moms? I'll call it anxiety.
So here's the crazy one. This is one of these things too. Why like Coach Carroll is just not just a great coach because she is one of the all-time greats. She is such an amazing human.
Yeah, agreed.
So we go down and our recruiting visit to Georgia. Like I want to say this, every school we went to. So Oklahoma was the one we didn't visit,
Hmm.
and that was Coach Thomas just being awesome.
Hell
As
of a
crazy as
coach,
that
dude.
sounds,
No,
love James
Gill,
Thomas.
Gill podcast
Um,
alum and one of the, I mean, just coach, dude.
yeah,
He's
good dude. Um, so, but we didn't go to Oklahoma, but we visited Cincinnati, Purdue,
mhm.
Nebraska, Georgia. They all did it well.
Nice.
We did not have, there were a couple quirky experiences,
Sure.
but there wasn't anything that was like, no.
Yeah. No red
Great,
flags.
great
Yeah,
people,
right.
great people, right? Coach Miller at Purdue, Tony Miller at Purdue,
Yeah.
unbelievable. Um, so, you talk about Cincinnati. Chris Weinberg is their jumps
Yeah,
coach.
that's right, Chris. Hmm.
Love Chris, great dude.
Yeah.
When we went out to Nebraska, Coach St. Clair was great. We Dusty's a dude. We spent like it was basically Jordan and I and Dusty the whole weekend. Like it was fantastic. Um, Georgia just above and beyond.
Yeah.
And it never felt like they were trying to sell us.
Did
It
their
just was.
did their new facility have any sway? And but Nebraska just redid theirs too, so it's not like I mean,
It, it,
Georgia
it
did it a
never
little
like.
differently.
I mean, it never ended up being like Georgia's facilities as a whole are stupid.
Yeah.
Like I mean, honestly, like total facilities you got to Nebraska, that's crazy out there. But the thing at Georgia, like the new track was being built, so you didn't really get to feel it yet.
Right. That's a good
Um,
point. Good point.
this was the one that sold like for my wife. So we go down there and she's still very like, man, this is so far. This is my baby. And so we sit down. Um, the things that happened at Georgia that were crazy. So like Josh Bailey, who's their athletic director.
Josh Brooks.
Um,
Mhm.
Josh Brooks, sorry. What?
Hey,
Oh,
so
Josh, I'm so sorry,
no.
Josh. I
Here's
cannot
what's
believe I said that but
here's
Brooks
what's
is our
funny.
guy.
I'm going to give you a little behind the scenes. No one knows this, but you. And then when we publish this, everybody's listening. I'm on the books. We've got Josh Brooks coming to the podcast.
Listen, that dude, you want to talk about a track dude.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
You want to talk about a track, you're going to find out. Like that guy
Mm-hmm.
loves track and field.
Mm-hmm.
So
So he was involved. You met him,
yes. So the very first meeting we had on our recruiting visit, Josh was the first meeting with all of the families.
dude. He is the AD of the University of Georgia, and he's meeting with track. And God knows I love track. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes. That's how invested that guy is
I
in track and field.
so
Like,
their former head coach Petros, dear friend,
yep.
also Gill podcast alum, is now the head coach here in Champaign at University of Illinois. He's the one that said, "Hey, you should try to get Josh Brooks." And I'm like, now I've had Jamie, I had the Iowa State AD on the podcast, and that
Yep.
amazed me because I'm like, dude, you are the AD of Iowa State. That's a big job, and track has to be seventh on your list. Now his son was on the team, so track wasn't seventh on his list, but
Yeah.
football's got to succeed at Iowa State. Basketball's got
Yep.
to succeed. Josh Brooks, I'm like, dude, Georgia football has to succeed for you to keep your job. Georgia basketball has to be good. Baseball. And Petro's like, yeah, the guy's a track dude, man. You need to talk to him first and foremost. A track dude.
Petros isn't lying when he says it. Obviously, him being the head coach there, he full on experienced it.
Yeah.
I mean, I ran into Josh.
You met him.
Yeah, not just met him. I ran into Josh while we were down for the meet. Took time to stop and talk. He's a fan of my kid. This is what's crazy. He took selfies with my son while we were on our recruiting visit
Shut
to
up.
send to his son because his son's a Maltese kid, but like he's a fan of like the social media world. Like the kids know who the kids are.
Yeah.
So like if you go out on Instagram and go look up my son, you're gonna see some stuff.
Yeah.
But Josh's son is a fan of my son, and so he's like, "Hey, I got to take a picture with you so I can show Jackson that I got to see you today." And I'm like, I said, "What world do we live in where the athletic director of a SEC school is fanboying with my kid? Like this is crazy."
I wonder. I hope I live in a world where, like someone right now is yelling at me, going, "Yeah, Mike, guess what? The AD of Florida does this too, and the AD of Mississippi State, whatever, and UCLA." I just don't believe, and no judgment. I understand why, but that is so stinking cool. That when we want to get onto ourselves as track and field and say, well, we're a secondary sport and well, we're blah, blah, we're important.
Yes. And I want to say too, like I think it's unique there because Josh has a love affair with the sport, but I also want to say being around like that guy is so uniquely gifted to be that athletic director.
Mm.
He is, like if you go follow him on social media, they have every sport out to their home at some point in time during the season and make all of those kids like he
Wow.
knows who kids are.
Wow.
He's not like you talk to the kids on the track team and you bring up Brooks and they're like, dude, Josh is
Yeah, that's
like
crazy.
yeah, it's he is so unbelievably invested. So
I
like,
love that.
yeah.
Okay, James, we got to start wrapping up here. First of
Yep. Sorry
all,
about that.
I have never done this, but
Yep.
I don't kid when I say I know these guys and gals and consider them friends. So I texted Ryan while we were talking. I sent him a picture. I was like, look, it's like I am
Come on,
interviewing Jordan's
bro.
dad right now. And I said, hey, you have any comment that I can say on the recording? I was like, make sure you know I'm recording this, Ryan, because I know Ryan's listening to this as well. Ryan gave me a little corporate speak, which is okay. I
Yep.
expect that because he knows it's on recording. He goes, Jordan and his dad have a special connection and they have managed to accomplish incredible things. I'm thankful for my relationship with James, Nancy, and Jordan. We will all work as a team to help Jordan achieve even higher heights. Great family. And you know what's interesting to me about that statement uh, is, boy, did he just sum up this entire last 2 hours we've had together. Great family, great mom, team working together. I mean, like that to me when he said that when that those sentences came through, I was like, oh, not that I needed it, but boy, did he just like corroborate everything we've been talking about here during this time, dude. And I love that. That means because to me, I told you before we hit record, I really strive for authenticity, and to me, I was like, oh, here's the other cool thing, James. What you're feeling is also what coaches feel. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you
Yeah.
guys are on the same page. I'm excited about this. I don't care that Jordan is 5'7". I don't care if he's 5'2", 4'2", 7'2". If he's jumping 7'2" today, well, no offense, James. I don't hear of a great high jumping coaching background from you, my friend. So I do know Ryan's background in coaching the high
Yeah.
jump. I'm excited to
Yeah.
get away from other sports as well. Those are complementary, but they're not helping him become a better high jumper as much as being a high jumper during the fall and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what? I think there's some we talked earlier about it's easy for us to dismiss what percentage of luck is in our life and our athleticism and things like that. There's another factor that I don't know that we have studied enough. It's interesting to me, and who was I just talking to about this as well, about expectations. So when he goes to Athens, their expectations is we are national. They're ranked as we're recording this number one and number
Number
one in
one
both,
on men's and women's both.
and just came off winning the indoor national title. Um, that's their expectation.
Yes.
Jordan, they have zero expectation that Jordan comes in and stays a 7'2" high jumper. That is
No.
not that they would. I know Ryan enough. At the end of Jordan's career, if he's still jumping 7'2" as his PR, Ryan's gonna be like, I failed that kid. We did not. Things happen, whether it was injuries, but something happened. That's not what we. Even if 7'2" is an All American every year, it's still be like, man, but we didn't get it done. He's going to get better. He's
Yeah.
still 18. Is he even 18?
He's not even 18 yet.
Yeah,
He's only
he's a
17.
17-year-old kid
Yeah.
today jumping 7'2". Man, I am pumped to watch him develop in that system, the University of Georgia track and field system. Love the support. Thank you for corroborating. I can't wait to talk to Mr. Brooks on the podcast. I get 1 hour with him. As you know, that's gonna be hard for me.
Yeah. And that's gonna be all he can carve out. That
Yeah,
dude's
yeah,
busy.
no, I told, it's like, man, I know you can't give me 2 hours, bro. I get it. Just give me an hour. We'll roll. I'm excited about that. I appreciate your insight to him on that. That'll help with my intro with him. So I appreciate that. But I'm just pumped to watch this from the sideline. I know how excited I am. I can't imagine how excited you and mom and the rest of the
Yeah.
family are.
Yeah, it's been, man, it's been like track has taken us places we'd have never imagined, right?
Mm,
We've been out to Hayward Field this summer now. We'll be 3 times. We've been
yeah,
to the Armory in New York
yeah,
twice.
yeah.
We've
You,
been down to North Carolina A&T.
yeah,
We've been all over the
yeah,
place.
yeah,
Met some unbelievable people,
yeah, yeah.
right? I mean, there's some kids that we have met that are so unbelievable,
That's
right? I mean,
cool.
and you know that the track world. very, very rarely do you run into a kid where you're just like,
Oh yeah. Mm-mm.
right?
Right.
Like
Right.
you run into people and you're like, you're rooting for them after you've met them. Like
Right.
they're a competitor on that day.
Yeah.
And then after you leave that day, you're like, I'm going to keep watching you and paying attention and seeing how you're doing because I
Yeah.
want you to do well.
So you're going to Nike Outdoors again this
Yep.
summer? Yep,
Yep.
good. Perfect.
Yep.
I'll be out there.
I will make sure that because you'll be over by the tower,
Yeah,
right?
you know exactly where I'm at. And I
Yep.
want to shake Mr. Jordan's hand too if that comes available and you're okay with that. I'd love to
I will make sure we'll be out there enough because he's competing at U. So this will be his second opportunity at U20.
okay.
He did U20 last year. The U20 was weather
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
stunk last year.
Yeah.
But he's uniquely positioned to be able to potentially do U20 three times.
Awesome. And I assume it's a little early, not doing the Under Armour high school championships down in IMG. It's a little early. That might be interstate
No,
meet for crying out
that's
loud.
still during our
Yeah, that's
season.
what. Yeah, yeah. I know
Yeah,
we're missing out on a
yeah.
few. I'll be down there for that. I was just wondering. Um, dude, I'm so. First of all, I love this football guy who did track, who now has become this track dad, track coach, track. I mean, you're a track guy, man.
Yeah.
I'm sure you still watch some football, but you're a track guy now,
I am,
and I
and we didn't
love
like
that.
we went off on the kid tangent. Like I didn't even get to dig in with you on like my dudes, right?
Yeah,
Like, I mean, like we dug into it. Like by the time we get done, I'm gonna have had four state qualifiers. I mean, like
dude.
like you said, like I'm not Ryan Bailey,
Yeah,
right? And this isn't me sitting here doing
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But when we decided to dig into it,
yeah,
I said I'm going to be good at this
yeah.
because I'm doing a disservice if I don't.
So what did you do? Because earlier you talked about like I started paying attention to the high jump more, and that should be
Yeah.
stage number one. Camps, clinics. You've been talking to Steve, I know, up in Grand Valley a
Yep.
lot.
So dug in with the guy. So I told you about Troy Haynes. So
Yep. Hmm.
Troy dug in with me on coaching the event, and we started the things he was teaching made sense. And so then I started studying his stuff, started going to clinics. So I went to our state clinic every year, and Indiana puts on a great
Very
clinic
good.
every
Very good.
year. I mean, that's the thing. Indiana is low key this really, really good track and field state that a lot of people don't pay attention to
Yep.
unless you really
Hmm.
understand it. There are some
Yep.
gems that come out of this state.
100%.
So just kind of digging in and filtering through the junk, right? So you get some
Hmm.
stuff that comes in and so says this, and you're like, okay, that doesn't really match up with the like what I
Sure.
think works.
Sure.
And then studying the event, right? So
Hmm.
having a short high jumper, we studied Franklin Jacobs and Stephen Holm, and
Hmm.
like really dug into what was their technical model and how did that work?
Hmm.
Because most of my guys are short guys.
Hmm.
So really started digging in there, and then kind of used Jordan as a test subject.
Hmm.
Um, I hate to phrase it
Yeah.
that way, but
Yeah.
he needed more. And so we started pouring in and started figuring out, hey, here's the things. And then we can take and we can filter those down to our other jumpers.
Right.
And, like I said, this season, I've got four guys on my roster today who have jumped 6 foot plus, with a fifth getting ready to come. Like he's right there, and maybe even a sixth.
Huh.
Where we had two indoor qualifiers this year. So my Jordan won our state indoor meet, and a friend of his who's in his class, it's his first year coming out. And we're sending him to an NAI next year already. Jumped 6'5" and took fourth at our indoor state meet.
Yeah.
Like
What, what
we're
what school is he going to?
Grace College.
Oh yeah, yeah, right there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so he's going to.
How do you, and we're past time, so you tell me when it's, because you
Yep,
got a
no,
meet
we're
and all
we're
that kind
good.
of stuff.
We're good right now.
How do you, like, I'm curious, especially in a state like Indiana, are there any other 7 foot high jumpers in Indiana?
So right now we have one kid. Now, year by year basis, there's usually
Yeah,
more.
what I'm getting at is I have to assume every meet he goes to, he is winning by a mile.
Yes. I'll give you
Until,
we had a meet on Wednesday. He ran the 100 for us, felt a little tightness in his legs, so pulled up quick, make sure he didn't do anything. It was a wet night. He came over.
yeah,
My other senior kid jumped 6'2". I shut him down, and Jordan
yeah,
took a jump at 6'6", took one jump and was
yeah.
done.
That's where I'm kind of getting at. How do you, you got to manage these good, talented kids. How do you keep him motivated? He's going to win every meet, probably going to win state by a good few inches. So he doesn't have to try all that hard to win the majority of his meets until he gets to Nike Outdoor and under 20, things like that. Hey, how do you keep him motivated? And B, do you think about, like, do you not high jump him at most meets and kind of stagger? Like, how do you
We
handle that side of it?
we use a lot, because we still run a lot of dual meets,
Hmm.
and I want to say this. I think Pat Henry said it last year after A&M won the men's outdoor. One of the things that track needs to do at the college level, he talked about like red versus blue is intriguing,
Hmm.
right? Like
Hmm.
get back to the old
Hmm.
school. Like every now, like we need to run a duel, and you
Hmm.
need to go against your
Never
number one
disagree.
rival if you
Hmm.
wanna like get the stuff.
Hmm.
So we still do dual meets.
Are you high jumping them every dual meet?
A lot of times we'll use a
It,
meet as
it,
a practice
yeah,
session
and
because
there's
the
a
way that
caveat to
our
that. Yeah, I was gonna say there's a caveat to that too. There's jumping at every meet, and then there's a competing at every meet. Meaning
yeah.
he may
So
not, he may
we're
only take two jumps at some of these duels or something like that.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, okay, okay,
So
yeah.
like this week I'll give you a friend. So Wednesday night, he took one, knowing we had just come back from spring break. We knew our sessions were going to be limited.
Hmm.
We're going to use that for just to try and get back in rhythm.
Right, right,
We have an invitational tonight. He's going to go.
sure. But
So
but he's gonna win that by a mile.
yes,
Like how many? Like I had a really good pole vaulter, actually from Indiana, White River Valley High School, that I signed when I was coaching JUCO, and he was, I think there was one other kid that was decent, and so like for pole vaulting, and I know it's a little different, but it's a bar
it's
event.
very similar.
He would warm up during the warm ups, but then like he literally would go back to like a state meet, go back to the hotel for an hour because that's how long it would be before he would actually come up. I have to imagine a lot of meets, a good number of meets. He's the last one standing when he comes into the competition.
The vast majority of our regular season, that's how that
How do
goes.
you stay motivated? Even a 1040 guy who is competing against a bunch of 1090s realize, yeah, I'm beating him by half a second, but one, if I don't take it serious, I lose to a 1090 kid. A 7-2 guy says, bro, I can jump 6'8" here, coach, and I'm winning. Why do like
I,
how do
I think
you
I can't. I've told him before. I've never been the guy
yeah, and
at
he is.
anything
Right,
athletically,
right, right, right,
and he is. And so I've told him before, like from the mental standpoint, I don't know what to tell you to do,
right.
and I'm confessing that to you.
Mm-hmm,
I've
mm-hmm,
never been the
mm-hmm,
guy.
mm-hmm,
Um, he's very intrinsically motivated. He wants to be good,
mm-hmm,
and I don't even say like it's not just even like he wants to
mm-hmm.
be great.
Is he
Like we
trying to PR at every one of these meets?
if we go, yes, he's like because for him now,
Because
like
I'm not sure that's healthy. And by the way, I'm an idiot. I haven't coached in 20 years. High jump was my favorite thing to coach, though. So I will have a little bit
I
of love and passion for this. I'm
I
not
say
sure that's
that
healthy, though.
no, like when we go, like we go, like last year, I had him on a jump count.
Mm-hmm,
Right. So like there'd be me like, hey, you're gonna get 4 tonight.
Yep, yep. Okay. I love this.
Or like we roll in, like he gets going, he's like, man, I feel really good.
Mm.
Okay, tonight's the night we
We
go.
made a change. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And
Mm-hmm.
so we
Mm-hmm.
we go, we go on the fly, but then that means that the one that we've got next week, we got to pare back. Okay. Right. And so it's kind of that feel in between of, because we're trying to load manage. We've got to jump clear into
This
June.
That is what I want to hear, James. That you understand load management and that you understand who cares what happens in March. I mean, sure, we'd like to win that indoor state meet,
Yeah.
that official indoor state meet, but June, our state meet outdoor in June at Nike Outdoors under 20. Yeah, I appreciate that. And that you actually have a plan instead of like,
Yes.
oh yeah, no, we're gonna go hard every meet. And it's like, I don't know. Boy, that that
Nope.
that is, I think, how you work towards burnout. So
Yeah.
that's where I was kind of like wondering about
Yeah.
that.
I don't do
Uh,
that. Like, I don't do that with any of my guys. Like my number 2 kid, I
yeah.
had told him like, once
Yeah,
we
yeah, yeah,
win,
yeah,
once we've scored, you're done.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
we may have picked, like for my guy Miles the other night, I wanted him to get to 6'2".
yeah,
So he
yeah.
cleared 6 foot. He already had second locked. And
Hmm.
he's like, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, let's clear 6'2". I think
Yeah,
you need a clearance there in outdoor.
right.
Just mentally, we need to get there. And he took 2 jumps to get it. So he
Yeah.
had like 5 total jumps on the night.
Right. Right.
Good. Shut it down.
Yeah,
See
I
ya.
think that's we don't talk. I think the really good Carol is and Ryan are having these conversations, and others
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
James,
Yeah.
etc., of emotional regulation too. Of like, man,
Yes.
you can only go to the well so many times emotionally before you break.
Yeah.
Now
Well, and,
it'll be a different set for him when he goes to Georgia. Now he's going to have to
yes.
PR at every meet probably that University of Georgia goes to have a chance to win or be in the circle there. So
Yeah. And
that's going
and
to be a
and
whole
they
different route for him.
they won't have many of them. I mean, you look at
Correct. Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
you
That's
look
right.
at the schedule, like this year, like Ryan kept, I think their first 3 outdoor, his guy high jumpers didn't jump.
Right.
He's like, I don't want to start them too soon.
Right.
Their
Right.
first outdoor was last weekend at
Yeah,
home.
home. Yeah.
And they'll jump this weekend and they'll jump one more at home. And then
Right. SEC.
it's
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's cool. So growing up in the Midwest, has he started paying attention? I'm from Alabama. I'm an SEC homer. I think if there was a Tiddlywinks national champion, someone from the SEC is going to win it.
Yep.
Has he started paying attention to the SEC a little bit more?
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and it's one of the things, we talk about it like, we got to experience some ridiculous football games. So like when our recruiting visit we went, it was the Ole Miss game this year.
Oh,
It
bro.
was stupid. Like I grew up right by Notre Dame, right? Notre Dame is an hour up the road from us. And so you go to Notre Dame State,
And that's
and
huge
you think you've
atmosphere.
seen
That's a
that's
big
big time football.
atmosphere. Mhm.
You think it. And this is no it because I'm a Notre Dame through and through. I had no idea until we rolled into Athens that weekend, and I went, okay, this is different. And I'm already 100. Like I promised Coach Bailey, I'm like, dude, if we commit here, I'm going to become the most obnoxious Georgia Bulldogs fan. Like I've got so much Georgia gear already. Like I'm a hat guy. I've got like 4 hats already. It's a like I wear stuff to work, and I got a guy at work that's an Alabama fan, and he's like,
Oh,
I will. He's like, you don't know how much it pains me to have to root for your kid. But he
yeah.
said, I will. But gosh dang it, I hate the dogs. And I'm like, listen, when it's not track season, pound
That's
sand.
right.
'Cause
Go ahead.
I
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Oh man, that's fun. I'm glad parents get involved in that. That's a healthy way of getting involved.
yeah, yeah.
The calling coach every day, every week is not healthy, and I don't hear that at
Nope.
all. So I love that just support. Right? It's going to be interesting. I can't wait to meet you out in Eugene and meet Jordan because it's just going to be interesting to see. It's a parenting is hard. Parenting a kid who goes off to college is hard. Parenting inside of athletics is hard. You add the extra layer of coaching. That is also hard. You've got that
Yeah,
dual role, man, and
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see how it develops. I have no doubts, with a lot of luck and faith and preparation and coaching and his own acceptance that he's going to do absolutely fantastic, both athletically and academically. Again, we very few of us get to go on after college to go pro, but all of us go on to become moms and dads and business owners and teachers and coaches and whatnot. And that's what I hope the best for Mr. Jordan there. So
appreciate that.
James, dude, this was a lot of fun. First of
Yes.
all, shout out to Sean Fowkes. He said, this guy, James, is a good dude. I told you this from the offset. And I said, well, I'll be the judge of that. Well, you know what, Sean, you might have actually undersold it, my friend. This guy, come on, dude. This was a lot of fun. It's great to kind of pick the mind. First of all, I love all levels. When I have a Carol Smith Gilbert on the show, it's interesting to pick her mind up because of the things that she's looking forward to and what she's working on. I love our high school coaches. I have a lot of love for our high school coaches for many, many different reasons. A lot of it has to do with you're dealing with 14 to 18-year-old kids. And by the way, our
Yes.
college guys, you're coaching 18 to 22-year-old kids too, by the way. Don't get twisted because they're 22, 23.
They know the ones that get it know that.
Yeah, and so it was very, just absolutely fascinating for me to kind of pick your brain as, like I said, it was interesting. Like in my head, I had you separated, like, oh, there's Dad James, and then there's Coach Randall. Like you've got to kind of think of those things separately. And by the way, it's impossible. You don't always
Yeah.
nail it. Sometimes Dad is on that apron, and sometimes Coach is at that dinner table, and it's like, ah, crap, I need to mix
Yeah.
this up. But
Yep.
obviously, you're doing a fantastic job because Jordan obviously is in a family that loves him and is in a community that loves him, and that's how you jump high. You have to have support, and so it's really cool. And I'm really grateful to be able to pick your brain and learn from you and be able to share your journey and a little bit of Jordan's journey with our audience. So I'm so grateful for you, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mike. It's been an absolute honor to be here and spend time with you today.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. And thank you guys and gals for being here. Man, I love again when we started this 7 years ago, I one of my true like quick commitments to the kind of guests that we were going to have was that we were not going to overly focus on one or the other. I could get we could get more views if I just stuck with like Power Four and Division One. That's how media works, right? And I love those guys and gals. Like I said, Carol. By the time you're listening to this, Joanna Hayes, head coach at UCLA, has been on. Love those men and women that coach Division One, Power Four. They're amazing. But you know what? There is amazing people at every single one of these levels: D2, D3, NAIA, JUCO, high school, middle school, summer clubs, professional, and we've had them all. And I think each one brings a different viewpoint to things that we can learn from. And what I really like, this is one of Mike Cunningham's goals, is how do we increase communication? So in this example, how do we increase communication between high school coaches and college coaches and vice versa? There's a lot of miscommunication. There's a lot of misgivings, a lot of judgment out there. And I think having these kind of discussions help with that. At least I hope they do. And we're going to continue to have them. So thank you again so much for being here with us on the Gill Connections podcast. Join us next week. We'll do it all over again. See you guys.